Oke, akan dimulai match pertama di Zero Dame. Gila. Tim ALL. Oh. Dame. Hah? Kok gini aja? Patah ya? Huh. Oh, ngerti nih. Hijau. Hijau pada lo. Pakai nih jelas lagi. What lah? Kok ke paus loh. Oke, ada redeem code. Gila, mulai. Zero Dam. Oke, mulai masuk barak. Udah mulai masuk barak ini. Lu. Ini berapa ini? 20 boleh kok. Masih aman kok. Harusnya aman. Masih aman. Oke, ada yang masih di barak, 2 orang. Tim kuning ada di barak. Ada tim ungu ada di semen. Sepertinya akan bergerak ini tim kuning. Kemana ya akan tim kuning pergi ini? Apakah turun ke semen atau kemana ini? Ini tim ALL ada di bawah antara Oke, nice. Oke, nice. Wah, belum ada yang mau ngambil ini apa airdrop padahal penting airdrop lah. Airdrop pertama biasanya kan AWM kan sekarang. Yang kedua baru loot apa ya? Oke, tim biru. Ada 2 tim di ini, 2 tim. Ada 3 tim di administration ada 3 tim. Oke, ketahuan ada tahu itu di situ ada mesti ada orang tahu itu. Tim EMEA, tim GOT sama tim Gen. Gennya ada di lantai 1 terus
EMEA were one of those teams that felt like they were getting pinched by 2 teams. Remember, Team Genius have joined the fray, and it was Team Gotaga that was kind of on the opposing side. So the smoke from Team EMEA is going to net them the exit out. Now Team Genius are trying to apply
lempar granat saja, granat. Oke, ketahuan, nice. Ih, gelo. Satu lagi, nice. Tim Gen. Gelo aja. Oh, ini bukan AWM kah? Bukan AWM aja, apa Beretta kayaknya. Bukan AWM tapi Beretta. Soalnya peluru merah kayak gitu, harusnya Beretta nih. Enggak di AWM ya, harusnya Beretta. Kita lihat M82. Iya sih harusnya.
To play for that airdrop. You can see how uncontested they are on the southeastern side of this map. There is nobody in the vicinity, so they are going to be able to go ahead and pick up that 50 caliber sniper rifle. Now, of course, they do have to extract with it. They want to go ahead and use
Beretta itu apa ya? Harusnya Beretta ya dapet deh. Wah, enak banget cok tim Gen aja. Barusan cok langsung BBM. Nice. Berarti tinggal sisa tim putih di lantai 1. Udah naik 2 ya. LMG that had gold armor kind of loaded into it. Of course, they didn't get the opportunity to use that because Hannah was just so quick on the trigger. Now Team Genius kind of have this tankier member of their team, but then they also probably have somebody that has that kind of weaponry available to them. Team Genius, yeah, on the back foot of finding those 3 kills. They're going to be doing quite well if they go ahead and opt to take another fight.
give me more. Typically these zero dams don't break out until like the end of the match, but we are already moving towards the chaotic nature of a game series that I love. Yuvelier there holding, making sure that he knows exactly when he wants to unleash that as
Oke,
Alliance
nice.
start to rotate in
Kita
from
lihat
the
apakah di
eastern
map
side.
Eurotam ini ada yang akan ekstrak atau
Checking
semua
all
akan
different angles of where
berebut
people
kill
could
ini.
possibly be situated. Respect that other grind.
Menurutku sih mending ini ya apa?
M82 sniper rifle in
Satu
their back pockets,
ekstrak,
going into
dua
the fight's
ini,
gonna be
dua
beneficial
langsung
for them. You
nyekat
can see
sama
NBA,
cari kill lah.
they're going to be on the receiving end of a Byron knockdown. The teammates are trying to go ahead and play the defensive role here. Looks like Team Genius had actually went down the angle for a flank that was necessary. That one is going to be cut down short, and now NBA is trying to go ahead and reposition because they feel like they've kind of lost all the pressure here, but Boldo jumps down into the loving hands of Hannah, who's going to land
Nice,
some headshots, and
nice
Skye picks
banget.
up two, and Yuvelier on the backside of
Nice
so
banget,
much
Tim
pressure from
Ken.
Skye is able to go ahead
Wipe
and find
out.
the third, and just like that,
Habis ngekill terbit lah.
are now
Ini,
playing
coy.
off of Zero Damn Tip. You wanted the action, they are delivering.
Thank you so much, teams, for getting crazy
Gila
over here in
aja.
admin. Now, here's the deal. I want to run it back, though. I will give my credits over to Hannah, who pick up that initial knock as we go into a replay with Skydee making the move right off that initial trade from Hannah. And Yuvelier clutching up just like that to end Genius's run. Cut them down before they can really start heating up. Now, you've got NBA with multiple kills. Genius running up with one of their segments. They've got, 3 or so kills before they fell. Now for everyone else, FLC, to the south side we go. Silua on the Raptor looking for info as our
Sisa
second
4 tim
airdrop
ada
has
AL,
officially
MBA, NBO,
landed.
FLC.
NBA got procs to that.
Semuanya pakai Raptor.
Remember, NBA are effectively going to be able
Raptor
to
laku banget ya di Eurotrip ya. Apa ya? Apakah gara-gara ini apa? Laku di Eurodam gara-gara nyimpen operator lain kah di map selanjutnya? Bisa aja.
Throughout this game, and I know that FLC has the Raptor. They already used the drone not too long ago. I don't think they actually saw any information that kind of net them onto the whereabouts of Team NBO. So if Team FLC kind of ran into Cement Plant, then it would potentially get caught off guard. But you can kind of see the retreat is coming in from both teams as FLC and NBO go their separate ways, and it looks like NBO have now left the Cement Plant with the opportunity to potentially fight for this airdrop.
I was curious about what they were going to do with that. If they move into barracks and kind of send their Raptor ahead to make sure we have that info for the airdrop, because I don't know if NBA is pushing for it. Plus, this airdrop is going to be those high valuable items. Typically, we get a slew of golds.
Oke, kita lihat apa yang akan dapat di airdrop kedua.
NBO will be the team that does make first contact, but they're just going to be jumping around through these off angles before actually committing to the open area. You're going to have to have your teammates back, because if NBA is playing from inside the building, there's plenty of windows, and they're definitely going to be looking for this.
Yeah, not too long ago, I mean,
Udah dijaga ya, sulit ini bakal ngambilnya nggak sih? Tapi ungu harusnya bisa sih. Deket. Tapi harus hati-hati sama tim putih ini harusnya. Soalnya tuh di construction itu kan, construction admin.
So NBO are going to be able to go ahead and pick it up for free. One of the res out of this is going to be the quantum storage and a fossil to go ahead and boot as well. Ooh, we actually usually only see like 2 res be able to pull out of these airdrops, but a third one comes in, the experimental data as well. So almost 1 million in alloy in total there for Matthias. The backfoot of them kind of finding that airdrop. But again, I want to go ahead and put an emphasis on where our teams are currently standing and what they've been able to go ahead and pick up. NBA, upwards of 5 million. NBO kind of picked up that airdrop. That didn't even get them up to that 2 million alloy threshold.
That's actually kind of disgusting when you say that. And plus, NBA does have kills to go on top of that. So NBA are sitting really nice here for Zero Dam. FLC down to the south still. Alliance kind of sitting on that wall breaker area. And NBO, after they moved from the airdrop, have filtered into where NBA was kind of looking towards. But for NBA, they're honestly chilling. And very much. Yeah, okay, Yuvelier. Sure, let him have it.
7 million in total profits now for MBA on the back of them picking up that super Mandel brick computer. I mean, they are on an absolute roll here. It looks like it actually came out of that laptop right there, and you can
there's
see
your
it.
safe box.
Yep. So
That's a big one.
That one's going to be safe and secure kind of no matter what happens, but NBA, man, I feel like they should pull that extract lever now and just try to go ahead and get out as fast as they possibly can. There is nothing else for them to play for here. It would be greedy for them to kind of play for anything else right now, but we'll have to see what they go ahead and decide to do. But for the likes of FLC, they've got to make something happen. I mean, we've seen something happen for all of our other teams that are left on the map. I mean, NBA obviously picked up the kills, all that loot. NBO, they got that airdrop. Team Alliance, I got the other airdrop of the M82 50 caliber sniper rifle. FLC, kind of in that lackluster position right now where they have to make something happen. But like we mentioned before, Tip, a lot of these fights on Zero Dan, they start to culminate around the last couple of minutes towards this extract. And of course, the lever has now been pulled for. So just 3 minutes and 30 seconds before our teams are able to extract that one. So maybe FLC is kind of playing for some of those last minute kills.
I will say, I haven't seen too many engagements around an extract on Zero Dam in the north, especially with the lever already being pulled. But this feels different. And I don't know if it's because NBA has so much to lose. And number one does have, you know, Matthias, his safe box looks pretty good. He's got 3 reds in there, you see right there, beautifully done. He'll have some of those things no matter what. But what's going to be good for them are testing some of those early engagements and seeing how this lobby is effectively playing out, considering you need top 2. For NBA, they have kind of moved into a potential spot here. Alliance now kind of wrapping around, essentially shadowing number 1. And this is scary. If you are number 1, you have no idea what is lurking about for you.
Yeah, they need to go ahead and find the information that there are teams in the surrounding area. But this is perfect for NBA. If you're a Mandel Brick Addiction fan, if these fights kind of happen outside of this extract, then effectively none of these teams can actually go ahead and enter the extract to go ahead and play for the extract or play for the kills onto you as a team. So NBA is kind of hoping that something like this does just happen. We see some of the shots start to go ahead and be traded, but it doesn't look like the damage was actually found.
No, but you see kind of the lethals being checked through. Matthias now number 1, very aware of Alliance's plan to break them throughout. But you want to stay high. You want to make sure you've got the angles up. You have to be covered, but I love that we see the constant changing of positions. But I say that as FLC realizes something is going on up ahead. We've got to sprint into there. And they're doing just that.
As to notice, remember how I talked about NBA? I didn't want to see them get greedy. They're actually peeking out of that doorway to see if they can find some kills onto some of these teams that are kind of lurking about. So they're actually playing in a very aggressive position. That being said, there's now 90 seconds remaining before this extract is activated. Now NBA, with the information that there is a team coming from the left side of where they are looking, I think they have now opted to play just a little bit more defensively than they once were.
You definitely see them kind of pulling back throughout. I love it. That angle is crazy from Buldo, but FLC, knowing where NBA is set up based off their Raptor info, they are actually kind of pulling away further from the door while they're wrapping. Alliance have kind of elongated out, and they're covering so much ground and angles onto NBO. If I'm NBO, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little worried with the setup that's occurring in front of me.
And it seems they got to make something happen if they're going to actually be able to net anything out of this one. But it looks like maybe the idea of the extract is going to be completely conceded by all 3 of these teams that are not currently in control of the extract, which is great news for NBA. It looks like they're going to be able to get out with those 7 million alloys scot-free. Now FLC, where have they ran off to? You can see one of their members is actually in the admin building, so potentially going to look through some of the windows to see if he can find some kills. But the other 2 remaining members are going to potentially go ahead and extract. Now, I don't know if I like this because, remember, we saw their profits. They only have 600,000 in total profits as a team for FLC, which, of course, saving the gear that you kind of brought in is sort of a net gain. But, again, they didn't really actually find anything. But looks like this fight between NBO and Alliance is going to be the only action that we will see in the remainder of Zero Dam.
Well, Mandel Brick Addiction is out of here with their 7.3 million profits, and down to the final minute of Zero Dam. breakthrough. NBO, you can see the influx of util being sent over towards them. Grind half health on the other side. Matthias really letting some of the resources speak for them as Lynx now, Alliance, instead of being so spread out, have kind of congregated up together in a 2-1 split out onto the right side. EMP connects, but nothing is given. 30 seconds left. Who's gonna survive? Because FLC, they're not in this fight, and this is just gonna be an Alliance NBO check through.
Surprised we haven't seen that M82 sniper rifle kind of find its mark yet, as that would go ahead and net Team Alliance with a quick opening pick there. Trying to make something happen, but there it is. Finally, FLC, the third party, is the one to go ahead and kick things off here, but amongst all the chaos, Cook goes down, but NBO Matthias, he kind of finds a return kill onto Easy. Now Team Alliance and Team NBO are left down to just 2 members, but as I say that, Team Alliance is going to be cut down to just a solo, but that's going to be Lynx, and I think the kill does come in, so a couple found right there towards the end of things for NBO and Team Alliance, and FLC kind of joined in on that last second fight to find one of their own.
Yo, I feel like Easy right now. I'm like, FLC's out of here. You get the pip. It's just a duo. They leave the solo up north to just go on and cause some shenanigans, and they break that fight apart and turn it into the chaotic in-games that we always get from Zero Dam. For NBA, I see only smiles because they stayed in their own lane. They played the game that worked the best for them, and honestly, based off what they were able to take out of the map, 3 kills, 7.3 mil assets gained. This is going to set them up so nicely moving into our first Mandel Brick game.
Without a doubt. I mean, MDA, a Mandel Brick addiction team here, picking up 7 mil in total assets is crazy. That is going to go ahead and pose the question for me, Tiff. We're going to be going over to Brackus in our next game, where we will see a Mandel Brick. Sometimes we have seen these teams go ahead and invest early, invest some of those operators like Tempest, invest that gold armor purchase in the first opportunity that they possibly can. And if they decide to do it, it will be risky, but they will have such a big advantage. Let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdowns here. Our round 1 top kills, of course, it's going to be Hannah there, picking up that first full team wipe onto Team Gataga, and then found his 4th onto the likes of Team NBA. But of course, we know that Team NBA won the fight in the end. They kind of extracted and walked away as the winners.
Of course they did, and our top assisters, Kilo there, making sure that Hannah could shine and lock in those kills. Tons of damage going out throughout our players, but in terms of our top asset earners, are you not surprised to see the only team that extracts out in the north with the massive haul on the top 3? But our round 1 MVP is going to none other than Hannah for absolutely icing it up against that engagement against Gataga, trying to stack their favor in terms of taking down NBA. But a strong start for them to get multiple kills moving into Brackish despite being wiped early.
Without a doubt, great performance from Team Genius as well. I mean, of course, we did see them kind of go down, but remember, those kills are worth quite a bit of technic alloy as well, 800,000 apiece. So with Hannah kind of being the MVP, the top player here, and kind of netting his team with the most amount of kills throughout that one, they're still going to have something to work with going into some of the following rounds.
Ooh, definitely, guys. Well, as we are into the final weekend of Season 1 Delta Force Rise Series, let's go ahead and turn our sights to Season 2. If you're at home watching and you want to get into the competition, that registration is going to open on August 10th, which is in 3 days from now. The day after the finals, everyone's going to be hyped up, looking to lock it in, so make sure you follow us for all of the updates on social media at DeltaForce_game. Who knows? You could be duking it out against some of the teams that you're witnessing compete here today. But of course, our first Mandel Brick round of Survivor Match 1 coming up right after this break. Mandelbrick Addiction sitting absolutely at the top after that crazy extract with 7.3 mil in assets. Vivid, I want to see what they're going to bring into Brackish.
And a big question for us will now be, when are Team NBA going to go ahead and push the advantage that they have picked up on the back foot of Zero Dam? Will it be as early as just game number 2 on Brackish? I would love to kind of see them go ahead and pull that one out. Let's go ahead and take a look at our leaderboard, where our teams currently stand. As a quick reminder, these squad points are going to be very, very important, as they will kind of net ourselves a little bit of a tiebreaker when our teams are tied in the Mandelbrick category. And no surprise that Team MBA is in first place on the back of them, picking up 7 mil in supplies there in terms of the alloys. So they're going to go ahead and have a total of 10 squad points, but not too far behind. Remember, Team Genius, with them finding the most amount of kills, the reason why they are not too far behind, because every single kill is worth a single point as well. So see them picking up 4 points just through the kill category there. But here's our map rotation. Again, we've talked about it. We're going to Brackish, and we will see our first Mandelbrick of the day. Who is going to go ahead and be able to pick up an early lead here in Survivor Stage number 1?
Well, as we go through our operators, here's what's going to be on the table. Not quite everything, but we did see some Lunas being picked early on, so I believe Gataga and Genius will not have Lunas to bring in. We did have a lot of D-Wolf and, of course, a ton of Raptors. However, when you think about Mandelbrick rounds, something that we typically see is a lot of Tempest, but that's not until we get to Space City. So our most popular operators for Brackish really lean on the backs of Uluru, because we oftentimes get that Royal Museum decoding station choice. It's such a viable pick for that space.
We'll have to see kind of what our teams opt to go ahead and bring in. I really do like the Uluru pick as well on Brackish here, because like you mentioned, just so many of these spaces, there's milestones find so much value. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the predicted spawns here. As a quick reminder to everybody at home, you cannot get the same tier of spawn in back-to-back games. We can see it on the left side. Team Gotaga and Team NBA, they got those tier 1 spawns on Zero Dam that kind of netted them that early access to the admin building. So because they got tier 1 spawns on Zero Dam, they cannot get it here on Brackish. It kind of can decide whether or not some of these teams kind of, bring in some of that loot that we were talking about. Team NBA, they may have all of the alloys, but they know they cannot get the tier 1 spawn. Is that going to be the difference maker here in them deciding to maybe not go ahead and invest?
Look, hear me out. If NBA locks in a tier 3 spawn for Brackish, we're going to have a dang good time, because starting in the north is so much better than starting in the south in the new Tower of Babel. But guys, if you're locked in just like us, I got another giveaway for you, especially before we jump into our first Mandelbrick game. Make sure you watch the screen for a redeemable code to unlock the SR3M Combat Ready. Redeem it as soon as you see it, because it's probably already been done. This code is limited to 25 redemptions. Get your redeems now, so you don't have to wait until Delta Force Rise Series Season 2.
Love those giveaways. They will happen throughout the day, so make sure you guys kind of stay tuned and stay tuned for all of the action, because now that we're jumping into some of these Mandelbrick rounds, things are going to get crazy. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these tier 1 spawns, though. It's going to be Team FLC finding themselves with early access to this museum area, but you can kind of see on the other side of the museum, you also see Team Genius in the fray as well. And I want to remind everybody at home, Team Genius, they were the ones that picked up the most amount of kills on Zero Dam. So this is not a team that anybody else on this map wants to go ahead and mess with.
Nah, not the way Hannah was lighting people up over on Zero Dam with Kilo holding his back. But you kind of look at where our map is lighting up. You have Alliance and NBO down in the new Tower of Babel. Gataga with the tier 3 spawns just wraps all the way up into the north. But in terms of what we've brought in, NBA, NBO, Genius, all investing a Tempest for this Brackish round. A ton of purple throughout. So obviously you won't see the golds probably invested until we jump into Space City. For now, though, I am so excited that Mandelbrick has been picked up by Genius, off to yet another hot start for them. Question is, where are we heading for the decode? Are we going to use the Royal Museum? Will we go to Brackish Market, Osira Camp? Those are all relatively open, because everyone from the tier 3 spawns have already rotated out. However, you do still have Gataga up in the north, and they can descend upon it.
If was kind of mentioning that she was excited to see this Mandelbrick picked up, because sometimes the teams that find themselves in the position that Team Genius is in, they just sit in this house, and they're completely fine to just go ahead and do so. But Team Genius, they wanted to stir the pot here. They wanted to start to get things moving said, one of those rules that we talked about earlier was that they only have 5 minutes to kind of work with before it resets back to that initial spawn point.
Well, we got Kataga over here in the north looting, using those cards. Let's go ahead and get a vibe check with Badid.
The mistake on the premium match that we will not repeat today is like the micro details we need to do and some miscommunication between us, missed play. So we have to be 100% focused and with a lot of rigor to not do our little mistake that cost us like some mandel book or stuff like that.
That's respectable, Vivid. Honestly, majority of the time we hear from our teams what has been kind of some of their biggest downfalls is either A, not stay in their lane, or B, the miscommunication. So I'd love to hear that Gataga, especially Villadid, has kind of been like, this is what we guys are working on. We do not want to have those mistakes early on. They did take that early exit into zero, Dan, but there's still plenty of life in Survivor match day 1 to go.
Without a doubt, you can see Team Genius are now starting to try to make something happen here, try to make some sort of a rotate. It looks like they will be opting to run into Museum. Whether or not they decide to use the decoding station that is in Museum is yet to kind of be decided because they still have that opportunity to potentially run outside over towards that hotel area. But with them kind of finding themselves on this staircase, it looks like they do want to go ahead and fight Team FLC for this decoding station on top, or at least on the second floor here of Museum.
I feel like it's going to be a schoolyard fight, and I'm just an innocent bystander yelling, fight, fight, fight! Especially with less than 3 minutes to go to lock in that decoding station. Silhouette there kind of guarding it. You've got to see how this is going to go. Hannah on the front line, a little bit of some jump peaks, but for now, they're going to do a really good job of just holding this decode station down. Still plenty of time if they want to go somewhere else, which honestly, if you're facing a ton of resistance, is this your best choice? Sure. Well, we'll see.
Keep a close eye on that time towards the top of the screen. You can see Team Genius pick up the mana brick with only 2 minutes remaining. That's when it will go ahead and reset. But they're going to go ahead and pop their Tempest Thought with the mana brick kind of in tow. But because that Tempest went down, that mana brick actually gets dropped right next to the decoding station. Now Team FLC pretty much have easy access to this mana brick and just sure enough can go ahead and put it into the station.
Well, that didn't really quite work out the way Genius had intended, I'm sure. FLC just says, oh, thank you so much. It's like when you get something for free, now that 4-minute decoding timer is at the hands of FLC. They're going to set up their defense. They do have an Alluru, so they'll be nice to throw those incendiaries on it, but you really have to watch the other side because people like to pop up and make it happen. But our first fight breaking out, #1 in the NBA getting crazy, and early knocks coming the way at the benefit of Uvalier and Skydie.
Actually, 2 knocks there. You can see Enter is now left to just the solo last remaining member here of NBO, but I think he actually got scanned right there by the Raptor. Lucky enough for him, though, I think that Raptor was actually one of the other teams there. That wasn't actually the team that was kind of running them down. But whilst all of the chaos is kind of happening amongst all of the maps, you can see Team Gotaga once again kind of get access to this here. We've seen them do this multiple times in prior matches throughout the day, so we'll have to see if they can kind of make anything happen with that in their hand.
Here's the deal. Alliance starting to hit their rotation up towards the north from the new Tower of Babel. We found about 1 mil in profits down there. You can see Gataga's has gone up exceptionally just to that airdrop, and FLC under 3 minutes now on the decode have spread out through the building. Genius now looking for a siege, and it starts to happen as Jex is down at the hands of Genius.
Who's surprised that it's actually going to be Hannah to pick up the first kill there, but a little bit of a misstep potentially by Chins as he's going to pretty much equalize the fight for the time being as FLC kind of find that knock with the Molotov kind of helping it out right now. And we're seeing the Allura rocket come in as well. That does a decent amount of damage, but it doesn't look like FLC is going to go ahead and press the initiative here. I mean, they have the opportunity to kind of lock down the mana brick, end this fight. It's just a 2v2 right now. Will they let the res come in? It looks like the pressure, the noise of their footsteps was enough to make Team Genius think twice.
And if you're seeing the green on the mini-map, that's right, Alliance entering the equation, probably hearing the fight brawling, knowing that there's a chance. But you do see Kilo grab the res onto Chins. For the time being, Genius resetting. FLC haven't been able to get Jex just yet, but the decode is still FLC.
I think Jex is going to be in way too far of an advanced position for them to kind of work with that. So I think Team FLC now, the only thing on their mind defend the mana brick for 80 seconds. Can they do it as a duo? Time will tell as some of our teams start to stir. You mentioned it, Team Alliance. They want to go ahead and get involved into the action, but Team Genius, I mean, they're now a 3-man roster. How can they kind of jump onto this mana brick decoding station before it actually gets decoded by FLC?
Oh, it's gonna be scary. It is scary. 1 minute to go here for FLC. You're gonna have to break out all the resources as Genius wraps around, starts to invest ults, and look at Chins there. Hops the decode through the incendiary, does not care, gets the decode steal.
Great work there. He does get knocked, but he was on the back foot of the Tempest Slot, and I think amongst all of the chaos, Hannah picked up a second kill here on Brackish. That was on Soloa, so now CFLC down to just one remaining member. But Team Gotaga, amongst all the action, are now taking the fight to Team Alliance. We now have 4 total teams here in the museum. Scratch that as FLC goes down. We're only going to have 3 teams here in the museum starting to go ahead and fight for this mana brick. But if all these teams are kind of fighting, right, Team Alliance and Team Gotaga are going at it, Team Genius, this kind of is a win for them in a little bit of a way as they are in current control of the mana brick.
Lets the time tick down, and I love Hannah's position here. We always get some cheeky angles coming through. For now, I know elsewhere, number 1 has been trying to reset and get up into the fray if they can from the outside looking in. For now, it's all about the information to hold down the fort, hold down the decode. And NBA runs straight into Hannah. Skydie doing what he does best and starting these fights.
Great play from Skydie right there. Typically, we see teams pop that Tempest Stall, and the only thing they're worried about is the decoding station. But opted to go ahead and flush out one of the members there, so great little bit of an awareness play. Now Team Genius are going to be forced to go ahead and reset. This opens up the opportunity for Team Gotaga to potentially just go ahead and run towards the decoding station and pick it up for themselves, and they will do just that.
There we go. Gotaga said they wanted to fix all the little mistakes, the miscommunication. Well, grabbing the decode and hopefully getting a Mandel Brick and Brackish is the best way to do it, especially here in Survivor, match day 1. And they are doing their best to hold down from the backside, especially investing another Luna. No Lunas left on the time for them. They had one on Zero Dam, they expended one on Brackish. Now they want to make the investment to get this Mandel Brick. 2 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock. Holding from the balcony.
Remember, Team Gotaga were also that team that found that airdrop on the northern side of the map. They picked up the so they have the weaponry to go ahead and defend this, but hold up, Team Alliance actually finds Skydie with a little bit of a cheeky angle. As a quick reminder, you can see it, Team Alliance are now just a duo, so they're trying to kind of make something happen. But this position towards this front door of the museum is super scary. As we can see off in the distance, NBO is potentially going to go ahead and jump into the action here. Team Genius are trying to go ahead and fight for this decoding station, but so much pressure being applied by Team Gotaga. Even the shots are landing through the smoke. Team Gotaga are in so much control.
I mean, you saw it, the Gizmo resources doing so well, finding out the players, crawling throughout. NBO grabbing a swarm of reds. Love to see that, grabbing the airdrop elsewhere, just on the northeastern side of Royal Museum. For now, Alliance back up to a team of 3, NBA still a duo. And with 1 minute, 20-something-ish seconds left on the clock, I'd imagine a lot of people are going to start to make their presence known.
I think all 5 of our teams here will be reset to a full 3-man roster. As I can see off in the distance, NBA are actually picking up Skydie right now, so the res is going to come in, and amongst all of the chaos that happened, Team Alliance, they were a duo not too long ago, but they have found the time to go ahead and find a res of their own. 60 seconds remaining now before Team Gotaga go ahead and secure the first Mandel Brick of the day. You can see Maxo with the in hand could potentially be the difference maker.
It definitely could. It definitely could. Maxa, a lot on your shoulders. 3 bullets to make it happen, but Tempest ults incoming at the hands of NBO, the full out sprints, and I see a hit marker for them.
Wow. Maxa though, Doesn't find the damage on the initial approach, but decides to go ahead and invest his body, jumps to the smoke, and finds the knock necessary onto Team Enter. But he is going to be knocked in the back foot of that. Now Team Gotaga, with just 18 seconds remaining before this mana break is theirs. Can they fend off all of the teams that will sure enough be swarming? You can see it for the likes of Team Genius. They jump onto that, but Skydie goes ahead and denies it, kind of sending this assist towards Team Gotaga, but they actually fully go down. Team Gotaga are wiped off the map, and amongst all of the chaos, amongst all the utility being used, MBA, they walk away with control of the mana brick.
10 seconds on that timer for Gotaga, and the only way they were going to have it stolen from them is if they were fully wiped. It happens, but man, MBA doing what they need to do to swipe a decode for themselves, but there's still 4 teams on the map, and resets are underway to make a play for the Mandelbrick Alliance. The only team still waiting to go ahead and get the res onto Easy. You can see Lynx picks him up, throws him behind cover while Grind holds the angles. Incendiaries are invested up to make sure NBO can't peek.
A little bit of a breath of fresh air for some of our teams as that timer kind of got reset, and you can see it. Nox, our player that has the most kills so far in the Rise Series Season 1, was trying to be the difference maker, but unfortunately was kind of cut down there. You can see the disappointment in his face, but like I was mentioning, a breath of fresh air now it feels like for some of our other teams. They thought the Mandenbrick was gone. They saw the timer. It was so low. They were like, oh my gosh, is this thing gone? The NBA, they kind of clutch up and give all of our teams 2 minutes to kind of work with, but those 2 minutes, they go by super fast. As you can see, NBA just 60 seconds now between them and the first Mandenbrick capture.
You can see Chins the Tempest immediately hopping the decode for Genius, and they swipe it. Up we go on that timer to 2 minutes. Now we'll see, will they be able to hold, or will someone else emerge? NBO, 90 seconds on the decode. We have reached the minimum decoding time possible.
Which calls into question whether or not anybody is actually going to be able to decode this mana brick. I mean, take a look at how much time is left in the match in general. There's 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Somebody doesn't go ahead and secure this mana brick soon, it is quite possible that Brackish will go without a Mando brick captured. NBO, of course, interested in trying to stake their claim here to this one, but can they defend? They do have the Tempest, and they do have some of the operators that are very, very good at kind of playing the defensive role, like Gizmo. So much pressure from some of our other teams. Got to imagine Team NBA, Team Genius, they're going to send their Tempest soon, and sure enough, we take a look at it. Skydie uses the Tempest Salt to kind of jump onto the mana brick, and now they have regained control once more.
I love that he also opened fires down the hallway straight towards where Genius has been playing from to also put pressure that way. NBO still incredibly close. That Incendiary is going to keep them into the wall, but you send the Gizmo util through the window, but we are just burning alive. Matthias holding on with the bare minimum of damage, the stabilization needed from NBO as Alliance has a bit of a bloodbath with their own Alluru ult.
Yeah, Lynx unfortunately went down to the damage of his own Allure ult right there, so the time that they are going to have to waste on kind of resetting is going to be detrimental to their opportunity to go ahead and play for this mana brick. I mean, they had a great position, right, but kind of being forced to back off of it. Now for Team NBA, remember, they might have control of this mana brick. They have been kind of playing on the outside of the museum, but they have finally decided to go ahead and jump in. They're starting to feel the pressure. They feel like they can go ahead and secure this one. So take a look at what Uvelier is going to do. He's actually going to play on top of the decoding station inside of his own smoke on the back foot of some of the Gizmo utility to try to go ahead and secure this last mana break.
An Alliance fighting NBO off screen are going to be detrimental as Genius moves in, trades either side. Genius, Kilo, and Hannah, the duo, they take down NBA. They steal the decode, and there's less than 2 minutes to go on Brackish. They have to hold flawlessly, but Alliance step in at the very last second. They grab the decode away, and this back and forth could end in a potential for no one to get a brick.
And now if anybody steals the mana brick, nobody will effectively be able to go ahead and pick it up because there is now less than 90 seconds remaining in the match in general. So it's all for Team Alliance. Easy is is going to make it just a little bit easier for them to go ahead and defend this with finding the first knock there onto Chins. But can Team Genius kind of try to make something happen? As a quick reminder, Team Alliance are just a duo, but a little bit of a misstep from Kalo. Actually falls off the balcony right there. So now he's going to go ahead and have to reset the position. Easy and Lynx, they take this opportunity to play a little bit more forward, to play into some of these smokes. They know they want to go ahead and defend this, but can they actually do it? As Kalo jumps over the top, he tries to find a decode over this little bit of the wooden structure. And on the back of that, Lynx jumps around the corner and finds the kills, but the solo jumps over to the balcony and finds the opening pick on the Lynx.
Sometimes those solos, they just go crazy. They interrupt the decode, and sure, not a single team walking away with a Mandel brick in our first Mandel brick round of the day.
So many of our teams finding themselves within just 10 seconds of being able to secure it, but our teams played it properly. They went ahead and denied it. And with just 20 seconds remaining, remember, these kills still do mean a lot. They contribute to the leaderboard. They contribute to the actual overall value that our players can go ahead and have purchasing power with. So Chin's trying to find an angle here, trying to go ahead and play the numbers game as Cook jumps around the corner and lands some of the last remaining shots here on Brackish. Team number 1 have 2 members left remaining alive. They were able to go ahead and pick up 5 total kills, and Hannah looks potentially a little frustrated right there, potentially with his team, potentially with how some of the other teams on the map went ahead and played that one out. So we'll have to keep that in mind as we go in some of our following rounds. But like Tiff mentioned, nobody finds the Mando brick on Brackish.
And this is where you start to really have to rely on your squad points. You called it 5 kills for number 1 in that Brackish round. Prior to this, they were sitting at 5 squad points on the leaderboard, but your best team on Brackish is none other than Genius, who grabbed themselves 7 kills, which, guys, friendly reminder, 800k per kill. And not only that, they get 1 point per kill on the leaderboard. So this is going to change their game for their squad points on the leaderboard. But of course, let's check into the scoreboard. Alliance grabbed 6 kills. Number 1 have 5. Mandel Brick Addiction 3. FLC is the only team walking away with 0 kills, which is crazy when you think about how many times Siloa got knocks with that incendiary.
Yes, definitely a rough start here for FLC. We'll have to see if they can kind of pick it back up, but somebody that is having an incredible start. This has been Hannah through and throughout in our first 2 map series. He is constantly finding himself towards the top of these top killers, and obviously if you're finding the kills, you're probably finding the damage as well, so no surprise to kind of see him towards the top of that one. But oh my gosh, this is just a Hannah highlight reel through some of these stats. I mean, most kills, most damage out, and most assists.
Okay, yeah, just let's see the next one. You like the top of that as well? Like, I can't even imagine, like, not quite. You're not on the top asset earners, but it's fine. You've done enough, Hannah. You have done enough for Genius. NBO's Cook there at the top, but fairly Alliance kind of rounding it out into no surprise. You've got Hannah for our round 2 MVP. Bro is absolutely annihilation mode today.
Doing incredibly well for sure, kind of keeping his team alive, probably keeping his team towards the top of the leaderboard as well. We did know the Team Genius was in 2nd place, I think, coming out of Zero Dam with just so many kills for them towards those squad points. So we'll have to see once we get back from our break whether or not they are actually going to go ahead and take over that number 1 spot. But I can't believe it. Brackish, no Mando brick captured. Crazy.
Yeah, this is the first time that I've been on the mic that we have not had a Mandel brick go to anyone in the initial Brackish round. It did have that kind of slower start where we didn't actually get that commit to the decode station in the Royal Museum for at least a couple of minutes. But once it happens, chaos breaks out, and I'd imagine that's how the rest of our series is going to go. But you guys got Tide Prison on the other side of this break. And we're back to the Delta Force Rise series. It's Survivor Match Day 1. And if these eyes from our players are not giving away how people are feeling, especially after no one walks away with a Mandel brick in the first Mandel brick round, it's gonna be a day.
It was some of your teams kind of at least having some sort of control over that Mandel brick decodization for what felt like at least a couple of seconds. Might all be thinking, what could we have done better to make sure we maintain control? That being said, you know how this kind of goes. We do take a short break from the Mandel brick rounds as we will jump over to Tide Prison, so plenty of opportunity for our teams to kind of reset mentally, go ahead and pick up some more of those alloys that they might need before we go ahead and jump into the back-to-back-to-back Space City rounds. But for now, let's go ahead and break down the leaderboard. I am not surprised by this one bit as we see Team Genius go ahead and take the lead here on the back foot, them having 11 total kill points, 17 squad points now at the top of the leaderboard.
And everyone else is pretty close on that mid pack with FLC and Team Gataga that really are tied at the bottom for 3. Gonna have to step up, and the only way to do that is getting those Mandel bricks when we move over to Space City later. But that is impressive. Genius move up 10 total squad points in comparison from Zero Dam to after Brackish. NBA really still bolstering off the fact that they had 10 squad points in Zero Dam from 7.3 mil of assets that they extracted with. So how are we going to answer back to that? Because we're tied in kills with number 1 and Alliance, who are also looking for fights. Now, moving into Tide Prison, like you mentioned, Vivid, this is kind of one of those, I'm going to say it's a vibe check of a game, because you don't usually get a ton of fights right off the rip. It is an airdrop round, but even then, it's just a really peculiar way of how this one could potentially play out.
Yeah, Tide Prison can get super, super weird sometimes with how some of our teams go ahead and play it. That being said, you can see that Nox column is pretty wide open for all of our teams as it currently stands, and I would imagine that this is going to be where a lot of those Noxes start to actually go ahead and be picked up. I mean, it just plays so well into a map like Tide Prison because you can go ahead and pop that ultimate, so many opportunities for you to kind of go ahead and sneak around. And not to mention, the last time that I was actually up here, I saw so much value actually found from that Nox disc, finding just so much damage, kind of being the difference maker and whether or not some of the kills actually happen for some of our teams. So just a very good operator to be used. That being said, if we have also seen some teams stow away from the operator like Nox, even the operator like Hacklaw. I've seen a couple of teams before bring in like Uluru, Gizmo, Morris, like somebody that kind of can find that information on their team, but then just a little bit more of a defensive composition of operators to go ahead and fend off against those Noxes.
And as you say that, we look at our total lead. This is like the most popular operator comp. You've had 15 people throughout the course of our series thus far lock in a Hackclaw double Nox, which, sure, it's great, especially for all of the close range combat that we get. Sometimes just popping that silent assault on a Nox and just completely flanking out someone can change the station of your game. And with how our series has been playing out so far in terms of our fights, I could totally see some players going that route. But honestly, Vivid, I love the shout out with some of those off-calendar picks that we've witnessed. Bring in the Morse, bring in the Hackclaw, get your information up and get crazy with it.
We'll have to see what our team is going to go ahead and opt to do. You can see those most popular operators. Now Morris has kind of jumped into the conversation there with tied pick rate percentages with Hackclaw. That being said, I mean, still, Nox is the primary pick, the one that has been picked the most here on Tide Prison, which is why we do go ahead and love to mention him as the most used. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of our predicted spawns here. And this is a little bit of a weird one because you have to imagine that most of our teams, it's like, they actually don't want to get a tier 1 spawn here on Tide Prison because we know we're going to Space City next round, and they of course would probably rather have those tier 1 spawns on Space City so that way they have early access to the mana brick over there. So for some of these teams, of course, they can pick up the tier 1 spawn on Tide Prison, which would go ahead and net them some access to some of the early looting routes, such as like the Warden's Office, which of course has the big safe and some key cards to kind of be swiped there. So it is still valuable in that regard, but again, maybe some of our teams would be like, nah, don't want the tier 1 spawn right now.
Hey, it is what it is. Typically, we've just seen some really interesting fights. You saw in the highlight package at the start of the show, we had that an ultimate collapse over in the West Lookout area where everyone was kind of just rotating down south on the western side for just the reasons of the fact that no one was extracting. We were just all throwing ourselves at it. But we'll see what our players do inevitably bring into kind of our penultimate match, the calm before the storm, before we go into the back-to-back-to-back to potentially back Space City rounds.
I mean, listen, Tide Prison is super, super fun. It's going to be all about picking up some of the loot that you possibly can and some of the kills to go ahead and jump over to Space City with as much as you possibly can.
Hey, definitely do that. And if you guys are watching and you're thinking, I can do that, let me try. All right, well, good news for you guys. Season 2 of the Delta Force Rise series, the registration is going to open on August 10th. Try your hands at the Season 2 open qualifiers, and who knows, you guys could be competing against some of the teams that you are witnessing here today. Or maybe if you're like, hey, Dark Entities, WLG, you guys have been looking absolutely cracked, who are basically locked in for the finals on Sunday, you too can try to play against them. Don't miss your chance to compete. And of course, follow us for updates at @DeltaForce_game. Pretty much every single platform that you guys like, we're there.
Love that. I mean, Season 2 starts right after Season 1 ends. Keeping the competition rolling here for all of our teams, making sure that we all kind of stay poised up and ready to jump into the action. Jumping into the action is going to be Team Alliance, picking up one of these tier 1 spawns that I kind of talked about. The big advantage of this one is, of course, having early access to this Warden's office over here. That being said, they make me look like a fool as they opt to not go towards the office and instead are going to kind of play over towards these back rooms here and maybe take a little bit more of a passive approach to Tide Prison.
Hey, a passive prison, that's pretty much what we've been throughout our series in Season 1, but who knows, maybe we'll get some action early. I was kind of keeping up with who picked what. Well, it's a ton of knocks all over the place, with Genius bringing in a double knocks, NBO as well as Alliance racking up all of those picks.
No surprise there, and I won't lie, we were blessed to have one of these Tide Prisons. I think it was in week number 2 of the group stage, where it appeared like every single time one of our players had opened up a container on the map, there was a red in it. Like, it was just
Really?
an absolute flood of reds, and I've kind of been searching for that exact kind of Tide Prison ever since that happened. I've not seen it since, so I'm really, really open here that potentially the Survivor Stage Day number 1 will potentially net us with an absolute rain of reds. That being said, it looks like a slow start in terms of the loot for a bunch of our teams. There it is. I called it. Hannah finds the BCD. That's going to be 1.5 million in technicality. And the unfortunate thing about finding one of those, though, Tiff,
They're massive.
they're massive, yeah. It's a 4x3. You can't actually keep it safe in the safe box, which is the struggle on Tide Prison, because a lot of the times you can't actually extract cleanly.
Oh, we'll see what Genius is able to do with that. But 2 million profits on the current as everyone else kind of vying for some of theirs. Gataga after having some slower starts, but we're back to Genius fresh off the find of the red. Let's check in and see how they're feeling. Survivor Match Day 1.
Obviously, my team loves looting. However, if there is a mental brick on the map, we're always trying to go for it.
Yeah? Yeah, how do you
Just
feel
like
about that
us.
one, Vivid?
Yeah, he's just like us, really. I mean, you know what I mean? He just loves looting, but it's like, oh man, we have to go fight for the Mandelbrick, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Like, I guess that's the most valuable object of the game. But, you know, there's a shiny object. I'm going to check all the cases that I possibly can.
I'm terrible. Like, my team, when I play Delta Force, I'm like, oh yeah, I think there's a guy like in the other room next to me, and I'm like, oh, but like, there's a box right here. Let me just, in a couple of seconds won't hurt, right? And then, we might lose the fight because of that, but I won't mention it, of course.
We lose the trade because those 2 to 3 seconds actually matter,
Yeah.
But I am deep in a box looking for supplies at that point. But you never know. As long as you're getting a red and throwing it in your safe box, that's all that matters, right?
I think so. That's the way to win.
That's my personal opinion. My team's opinion may not be the same.
For all of our teams so far on Tide Prison, again, it's all about finding as much loot as you possibly can, and then end being like, okay, we've looted everything, we didn't really get anything, maybe now we try to go ahead and find some fights. That being said, finding fights on Tide Prison is probably the most difficult thing, because a lot of the times you kind of have to just face check so many of these angles. Like, for example, take a look at where Chins is sitting. I mean, this room alone, I can't tell you. I mean, I've played a ton of Tide Prison. This room alone, I've probably only been into it maybe like less than 10 times in all of the games that I played. And then I would have to deal with this specific spot that Chins is kind of playing with. So Tide Prison is just full of all these surprises that these players can kind of lay in wait for you to kind of make some sort of a mistake, which makes it super scary for all of our teams to actually go ahead and move amongst the map, which is why we see operators like Raptor kind of brought into the equation here on Tide Prison, because you could find all of those spots that they might be hiding in before you make the rotation.
Yeah, because if you just walk into a place and you've got someone like lurking from above like Spider-Man, it really does hurt sometimes. So making sure that you're apprised of all the nooks and crannies of Tide Prison is the best way to survive. Now, of course, this is an airdrop round, and you will see the fact that it's going to be about 2.5 minutes until it drops onto the map. We oftentimes see it drop into the reservoir area on the north, just between like kind of the east watchtower area and kind of some of the main little bricks out of the water. We'll talk about that later. For now, NPO just dealing with the things.
We actually did see right there the contract was actually activated. That contract, Tide Prison's a little bit different than Zero Dam, right? On Zero Dam, we do have those 2 airdrops kind of land, as we do on Brackish, that go ahead and give you some of those sniper rifles. But on Tide Prison, you can't actually rely on the airdrops specifically to have those upgrades in weaponry. You have to go ahead and complete that contract. So we did see that kind of being activated right there. So it does look like one of our teams is going to go ahead and complete that contract and get access to potentially an potentially an M82 sniper rifle, as we do see Team Genius now find the second red of the map. What is this going to be? The 2x3 Spectrals. Every single time I'm hoping for like an IFB or something like that, and it's always the gold that kind of comes out.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. All right. Well, honestly, I'm trying to get my vibes. Like, I had my predictions when we came into this one, and I was like, you know, I feel good about NBA. I feel good, but like when I was talking about my underhorse, I was like, NBO, as you see on your screen. Have a little bit of that Warden action on the other side.
Yeah, NBO actually came into today. They were the last team to qualify for Survivor Stage Day #1 here. They were 8th place coming out of the group stage. And I do believe Tiff actually mentioned that it was on the back foot of them having an incredible, like one of their last matches that they played. They went ahead and won that one, right? So that pretty much netted them enough points to barely sneak in here to day #1. So yeah, potentially something that NBO kind of figured out in some of the last days of the competition of the group stage there, to kind of give them the momentum necessary to go ahead and clinch a spot in the finals. But it was Team NBA that was kind of completing that contract. You do see the ammo being picked up by Skydie there, so it's like the was actually found as a reward for them completing that contract.
WNBA. That's crazy. Good work for them. We'll see if they can prove use with that weapon. However, good shout on NBO. You're 100% right. It was do or die for them, and Living for Success as well had to pop off in a different day, which you will see them in Survivor Match Day 2. When you realize you have nothing to, like, you just gotta go. You're just saying, if I don't perform to perfection here, I'm just not going to qualify for that last weekend. And knowing that if you don't get top 2 today, you do have another chance tomorrow, but still you'd rather get it done today. Do not leave it to chance. Tomorrow's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And for Gataga on your current screen, things have not necessarily gone their way in the first initial matches. And granted, there's not a Mandelbrick here, but I would love to see some cohesive fights out of them on Tide Prison before we move into Space City. It's like the kind of the gear up for that Mandelbrick round for them.
I want to see the player of Nox kind of be able to be activated here at some point, because a quick reminder, he was our kill leader kind of coming out of the group stage, so we know the potential is there for them to go ahead and find the frags. It's just all about finding the positions necessary, right? How do you put your teammates into a position to where they can go ahead and showcase that individual prowess? That being said, though, I don't know if they're going to be able to showcase it on a map like Tide Prison, especially with how this one is going so far, as I don't think any of our players on the map have seen another player.
No, it's still going to be passive prison for the time being. Now, it's very similar towards our initial round on Zero Dam, where a lot of these fights will kind of culminate towards the end. But as FLC have rotated out towards the west side, down through West Watchtower, have now made it into the reservoir area. Of course, you can see that extract on the other side. That airdrop does go down in the exact spot that I was talking about, so they could pop on over there. Maybe see if they can grab it. Kobe on the horizon takes to the water.
The Alliance, though, are kind of right above this airdrop. They have been playing passive since the start of the game, so I think they are going to go ahead and continue with that game plan as FLC are kind of netted the access to this airdrop. Only a single red this time around, as it's just going to be the Caviar, 170,000 alloy right there. So not necessarily the most valuable red to be found out of that one, but the back foot of them finding that FLC are kind of approaching that 1 million alloy mark. On the left side of your screen, you can see the profits for some of our teams. But no surprise that we do see Team Genius towards the top of that leaderboard again. Hannah does have that BCD, I do believe. Did see him kind of leave it behind not too long ago, but I would imagine that he probably picked it back up.
It's that time of Tide Prison where the whistles start to haunt me. And the things that when I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear it, I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, has Tide Prison kind of ruined your experience here, the whistles?
Yeah, they're turning into my sleep paralysis demons. They're starting to whistle now, too. It's scary. I'm just kidding. I don't think I've ever had sleep paralysis, thank goodness.
Hopefully all of our players here today got some good sleep last night. They were kind of locked in for competition here today. And we do see Team FLC, we kind of talked about them coming into Tide Prison. They need to kind of find something here to kind of get going, because so far the first two games, unfortunately for them, have been a little bit lackluster. And it looks like they've opted to do is try to go ahead and gain control over this static extract on the outside of Tide Prison. That being said, it takes a very long time for this actual extract to go ahead and activate. And as I'm kind of saying that they have a foothold over top of this extract, all three of them actually go ahead and leave. And Chins does exactly what I do every single time I go for that jump. Completely fails it. By the way, I love the player cams because you saw it, Tim. He was clapping. It was like, yeah, that's me.
I just did that. Doesn't know that it just happened on main, but it's totally fine. You and chat who get to witness this, we can just all have a nice little chuckle, but the reset is coming. It is isolated enough for the time being. You do have FLC across the way, and they're definitely scouting out for that, but it's fine. We all laugh about it. We're all human.
Throw that one on the highlight reel. What I would do.
The very first clip, and then just immediately include all the slayage that we've seen from Genius today after.
You get it. As FLC, they're trying to make some of those rotates that we talked about, using the smoke to go ahead and find themselves up to the top of the ladder, but it looks like Hannah has the angle necessary to potentially chop down some of the members here. Unfortunately for Kobe, he's going to be getting caught off guard, and now Team FLC, we talked about it, they needed to find some sort of momentum, but with Team Genius hot on their heels, looks like this could prove to be detrimental. But Team Alliance potentially trying to play a little bit of saviors here. They're trying to provide some of the firing cover, but Chins finds the angle necessary, as it looks like he actually took the zip line up to the top of the hill. Now it's going to be Jex going down. Soloa is trying to stay quiet, trying to not make any noise, but I think the Q comes in. Hannah finds the ping. The shots are trying to land on the run.
And we are just absolutely full sending, swimming throughout the map, trying to keep an angle on where he is. The Shark even assisting Genius at this point for where FLC is. He surfaces, and Silo gets the initial knock onto Hannah. Now, mind you, Hannah's been absolutely frying throughout our prior games, but here we go. How do you get out of a Shark attack? You boop him on the nose, and hopefully can hold strong, because you still have so much action just on the other side of you. Dude, seriously, the pull from Hannah comes in thanks to Silua.
So many kills actually happening around the map now. Looks like NBO and MBA are kind of going at it right now. One single member has been traded on each side of the things, That being said, it looks like NBA actually have access to the body right here. As you can see, Skydie goes ahead and picks up the body, jumps it backwards to a little bit of a safer position. So a little bit of a fight going on here between these two teams with some of the shots ringing about Tide Prison. Will there be a third party kind of be the difference maker? I actually didn't see it though. FLC Soloa went down. He was kind of that member that was the last one remaining there that was under attack from the Shark. I'm not actually sure who found the last remaining damage necessary, but the back foot of that, Team Genius have been kind of netted the time to reset on the outside as well, as they're going to go ahead and pick up Hannah.
We do know that, unfortunately for FLC, the Shark was the player, the NPC that decides to take down Sila. Puts the last little bit of damage on him to get him out of the map while everyone else was fighting. Now, back onto Gataga here. A couple of teams on the horizon, which they all look incredibly close, but there are so many nuances that are going to take for these teams to run into each other. So it's all about what are resources that we have available to us to make these plays.
Looks like Team Genius might just be happy with waiting out this extract to go ahead and activate. I mean, only 3 minutes remaining, so why not, as they go ahead and make it out as a full 3-man roster with 4 million total profits. But that being said, on the other side of the map, Team Gotaga and Team Alliance have started to go ahead and do battle, as there is going to be a trade found from Grind. That's going to go ahead and equalize things here, as it's going to be a 2v2. Grind was under a little bit of pressure right there, but does go ahead and manage to find himself in a safe position. That being said, some of the shots that have been traded got NBO interested, and it looks like Gotaga, Vlad there is going to go ahead and jump around the corner. The Nox ult was activated right there, and Cook had no idea that Vlad was on approach.
Well, Enter definitely going to be investing his, as well as Vladeed's has expired. You can see NBO now completely out of Tide Prison. Alliance still down to a duo. We're kind of turning around as we get closer to one another, sending our resources through the door before. But make sure you check the angles, trying to bounce through if you can. Through the stairways we go, and Maxa blinded as Grind capitalized on that. Gotaga starting to fall apart here.
Great patience right there from the side of Team Gotaga to make sure, not from Team Gotaga, sorry, Team Alliance, to make sure that they landed the utility before just sending it into that close quarter, because Maxa could have potentially made something happen. But Vlad, with a quick peek, lands a lot of damage, not only onto Grind, where he does find the knock, but unfortunately onto Lynx as well, as he's going to be forced to go ahead and retreat. It sounds like Vlad hears the meds being used right now and knows that he has the advantage. But that being said, doesn't have that utility kind of required to flush out this member. The disc is not available. Now none of the flashes. They're trying to go ahead and jump around the corner. Lynx playing a little bit passive now, jumps out. Yeah, with the armor being cut down from Vlad, there's going to be easy shots to be landed by Lynx, and it's going to be the solo left remaining here to try to make something happen from Team Alliance.
You see, getting the dog tags in the safe box, they are going to be worth a substantial amount, but now that you dealt with Gotaga, we can work on the reset for Alliance. Elsewhere, Genius have already left the map, so it's just MBA and Alliance left here. But for now, not anywhere near one another with less than a minute to go.
Amongst all the chaos, looks like NBA had actually gone ahead and hacked the center laptop. They pulled the switch, and they're going to get all 3 members out as well. The biggest thing to go ahead and note down right here is that Team NBA, they were the ones that went ahead and completed that contract earlier on. They picked up that so with them kind of leaving the map here with that that's going to be great for them going into these Space City rounds. You can see Team Alliance are still trying to kind of find as much loot as they possibly can to make sure that their safe boxes are kind of loaded up with as much loot as they possibly can be. But that is going to be the end of Tide Prison. That is actually going to be the end of our economic rounds here for all of our teams. They have been granted the opportunity to pick up as many alloys as they possibly can, but now they've got to be all geared up and ready to go and jump into some of these Mandelbrick rounds.
Those Mandelbrick rounds on Space City get pretty freaking wild, and it all is off the back of the last eco, like you said, on Tide Prison. Now, with Genius getting out, I was just thinking about this. They were the ones that initially found that 4x3 red up into the northeastern side of things. They probably took that out of them as we look towards our best team. It's Alliance with 4 KP, 1.5 million asset gained, and a lot of that comes from them just finishing off that final 1v1 against Gataga.
Again, these kills are important. They do, of course, help you out on the leaderboard, and they help out your economy as well. So Alliance are going to be towards the top of the scoreboard here for round number 3 on Tide Prison, with those 4 kills kind of being noted there. But Team Genius and Team NBA, I feel like with both of those teams kind of exiting the map with all 3 members, they got to be the breadwinners there. You can see some of our top killers here. We saw Vlad kind of joining the mix, and a couple of members of Team Alliance as well.
I know I was immediately saying, like, hey, Gataga started to kind of fall apart, and then Vlad goes massive, trying to turn the tables and make it an even fight against Alliance, as he was the last one on the map, and you saw it, top damage, doing well, even Nox there, getting into the assists. So good moves for Gataga. Chin's kind of rolling out the top 3 on that one. But in terms of our asset earners, Gen gets in there. They're the ones that actually had a full team. Extract, NBA's Jubileer, and Kilo there, kind of rounding out the top 3.
Great to see how some of our players did. But of course, our MVP for round number 3 on Tide Prison is going to go over to Team Alliance and the likes of Grind. His 2 kills, 600 damage, and 500k in assets gained kind of notes him down as the best player there on Tide Prison. Like we mentioned, all of our teams now have been granted the opportunity to pick up some of the weaponry, like the that NBA was able to go ahead and take out. Now the big question will be, Tiff, when do all of these teams start to actually invest all of these alloys? When do they buy the gold armor? When do they bring in the It's gonna get crazy.
I feel like it has to be the next round. Even though some of our teams did invest Tempest onto that brackish round earlier and no one got a Mandel brick, I'm curious to see. Typically we see it happen in game number 5. But we do have to realize game number 4, our potential first brick of Survivor Match Day 1 is coming up right after this break. we're back. Delta Force Rise Series Survivor Match Day 1. And we're about to move into Space City Marathon, Mandelbrick City, y'all. And I'm so excited to see which one of our teams, as we kind of peruse through our players, is going to be the first to lock in the Mandelbrick.
Yep, we can now only end this competition in game number 5. As a quick reminder to everybody at home, nobody picked up a mana brick so far. Of course, we only had one opportunity in game number 2 on Brackish, but those opportunities are going to start to rain in. For Team Genius, who currently sits towards the top of the leaderboard, they are currently feeling quite good about how they have played throughout the day thus far. As a quick reminder, mana bricks are going to be the most valuable thing on this leaderboard, and like I mentioned, those opportunities on Space City in rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, if we make it that far, will surely shake up this leaderboard a lot. But those squad points could come into play later on in this competition if we do have a tie in that mana brick category, which goes ahead and gives Team Genius us a little bit of an advantage over some of our other teams. But if we want to talk about advantages, Tiff, why don't we go ahead and talk about the advantage that Team EMEA currently has? I mean, so much loot for them, and on the back foot of that, also the that they can kind of bring in whenever they so please.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm curious about. Do they bring that into our first round on Space City? And it's all off the back of who had tier 1 spawns on Tide Prison. If you're not guaranteed to get that, sometimes you don't see people invest heavily if they're not guaranteed a tier 1 spawn. As you can see, NBA and number 1 already brought a Tempest in on game 2 back on Brackish. So will they be able to use up their last Tempest? I don't know which round I would bring that in. Probably the one where I'm guaranteed to potentially get at least a tier 1 spawn. But for Alliance, FLCA, Gataga, you have both Tempests at your disposal. Stinger Luna Tempest is the most popular operator composition through and throughout. We definitely see a couple of teams abiding by this. However, it really depends on where you want to bring that Mandelbrick 4 decode. We do know that that kind of courtyard area, the hallway outside, is definitely the most favored, but we've seen some real chaos happen over at Black Chamber as we pull up our spawn predictions.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the teams that can actually pull that tier 1 spawn. It looks like FLC, NBA could potentially get a tier 1 spawn, Team Gotaga, and Team Genius. The reason I put a little bit of an emphasis on Team NBA is because if they can potentially get this tier 1 spawn, they might lean a little bit harder into making that decision to go ahead and invest into this round. That being said, I mean, another team that we saw towards the top of the leaderboard, Team Genius, is also kind of able to pick up one of those tier 1 spawns. We'll have to see how it all kind of breaks down. That being said, Tip, these tier 1 spawns, they can still be a little bit scary because their initial approaches, they can take so much damage across the pipeline of Employee Passage or over towards Westgate, of course, some of those initial flights from Dormitory.
Westgate can get so disgusting really quick. You've got to be fast on your rotates, and if you're watching us at home, you've got to be fast on your redemptions. We do have one more giveaway before we head into our first Space City map. Redeemable code for 1,000 Delta tickets is appearing on your screen. Redeem it as quickly as you can. But now, time to get into the action.
Looks like Team Alliance are going to be our team over towards the dormitory building, and Team Gotaga are going to have one of those tier 1 spawns that we kind of talked about over towards Westgate. Fortunately for them, it looks like Team Alliance was not able to kind of find some of that damage that we were initially talking about. And it does look like, by the way, Team NBA did get a tier 1 spawn. They were over towards Employee Passage number 2, so they are actually in the center of the map already. And so is Team Genius after they kind of picked up a central command building spawn for themselves. I mean, all of our teams are kind of rushing towards the center of the map right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the investments from some of our teams. It looks like Team NBA, they brought in some of that gold ammo. Now, our system kind of only reads what armor they're wearing when they enter the game. I'm sure NBA probably had armor and helmets actually in their backpacks and their rigs. We'll have to keep a close eye on what they actually brought in terms of the armor.
We can see that smoke going down as the Mandelbrick has been picked up for NBA. They do have a Tempest in play as well. So good moves for them. They are playing for absolute victory if they can make it happen. Now the question is, where is that Mandelbrick going to be taken for the decode as they just yeet up the stairs?
Yeah, potentially over towards the Black Chamber area, but I did want to go ahead and mention, I can see it at least for Yuvelier. I can't speak to the other 2 members of the team, but he was wearing gold armor and a gold helmet, and I think he had an Weakness secondary weapon slot as well. So NBA, you wanted it, Tiff. You kind of talked about it. You said you feel like they need to invest early on. You feel like they needed to invest in game number 4, and they did just that.
Well, the only thing that's going to allow them to get to the top of the leaderboard over Genius with their 22 squad points moving into this is getting a Mandel brick. But other than that, they are 5 squad points behind Genius. And now with it moving in game, 6 points separating them. Into Black Chamber we go. Now, this has been one of the most fun decoding stations. We had a game a couple days ago, Vivid, where it changed hands 17 times.
Wow.
In Black Chamber.
Does get crazy, especially the more and more Tempests that you do have. That being said, we only have 3 teams with a Tempest right now, so I don't know if we're going to go ahead and see 17 swaps of control over the mana brick, but I'm sure enough thinking that we will see it happen at least a couple of times. NBA are trying to go ahead and make sure that doesn't happen. They do have a pretty good comp, and of course the investment as well to go ahead and defend this one. But here's the interesting thing about the Black Chamber decoding station is that a lot of the times you can see these teams, they actually play to the upstairs area because the one spot they are worried about the most is that CEO office rotation. Currently Team Alliance is over there kind of looting all of that loot that's in the area, kind of denying any of the teams from being able to actually rotate from this upper part of the map is a very important part. However, what that does is it kind of leaves the decoding station a little bit vulnerable to any of the other teams down below.
Well, as we've got 2 minutes, 30 seconds left on the decode for NBA, let's do a little vibe check and see what Skydie and the team have been feeling.
To be honest, it's not necessary to actually put Mandel Brick in 5 minutes. We just run around to find some options, and it's fine if we don't really have good options, because we can always just try to come back and take it again.
Fair. But they did put it within 5 minutes, so may not be necessary, but we did do it here so far. And Gataga finding some goodies across the way.
Kind of talking about the lack of necessity to put the mana brick in early, and then this go around they actually put it in as quick as they possibly could have. So a bit of change of style here, but it looks like Team Genius are going to be our first team on initial approach here to try to go ahead and seal away the mana brick. Remember, I talked about it. NBA, they're kind of forced to prevent some of the other teams from approaching from different angles, and as a result, they kind of have to leave the decoding station just a little bit vulnerable. So Team Genius, they kind of picked up on that game plan from Team NBA, just kind of walked over, stole the decode away, and now the ball is in NBA's courts, and sure enough, they're just going to go ahead and steal it right back. Now, these constant swaps are going to make that decoding timer go down very, very quickly, as it's already at that 3-minute mark.
Ooh, we are in for a good showing here. And for now, we just kind of isolate, we hold our angles, and do just that. There are still so many teams that are surrounding this area that are going to look for ways to siege into the building. But that rush doesn't typically happen until we've breached about 1:30 on the timer.
Eventually, these kills are probably going to start to pop off. NBA kind of return up here to the CEO hallway to try to prevent some of the teams from rotating. That being said, on the other side of the CEO office, Team Gotaga are actually in this other hallway. So if the shots ever start to get traded between NBA and Team Alliance, Team Gotaga is going to quickly flank Team Alliance, I would have to imagine. That's something to kind of think about when it comes down to how this one might potentially play out. Being said, we do see only 2 members now upstairs for Team NBA. I think they might be investing their other players into potentially defending that decoding station.
And here we go, about that 1:30 mark I was talking about. But for now, the initial goes in from NBO with Maxa lying in wait, immediately picks up Matthias, gets the full, and chaos ensues with trades on both sides. NBO just down to a solo, looking to hold on. And Nox ready to get his frags up onto.
Oh gosh, but Skydie, I would talk about kind of defending that decoding station. He wants to do just that. He finds 2, he finds 3. That's going to be Team Genius wiped off the map, and you can see it now. Team Alliance, they heard all the shots start to exchange. They went ahead, they started to play a little bit more aggressive, and now NBA are under a lot of pressure. So many of their members are very, very low. You can see Skydie down to about 10% HP. One of the other members down to about 25% HP. Team Alliance, they have the position, but can they make something out of it?
Hopefully. We've seen them clutch up in some of their fights, especially on that tight prison. And now, off the back of their resources, jumping through, looking for angles they can filter in. And Skydie is going to be the first to go down. The full comes in, and Alliance need to do exactly what they can. With 30 seconds left on that decode, NBA still has 2 players on the brick.
It's going to feel impossible here for NBA to defend this. I mean, 2 teams are actually joining the fight here. FLC is on the other side of things. Team Alliance is probably going to come in from the other side, but laying down his Bulldo, he tries to make something happen, but Kobe goes ahead and finds the angle necessary to prevent that one. But their Tempest is forced to go back. 10 seconds remaining. Uvelier is actually laying on the Cody station right now. If he can stay alive, if he can just find the kill onto Easy. Easy jumps onto the Cody station. Uvelier finds the shots. 1 second remaining. NBA, no! Team Alliance, they jump onto the Cody station. They get to the steal away, and even though Uvelier was left remaining alive, even though it looked like he did enough, the denial came in from Team Alliance. They barely scrape away with control. But on the back foot of that, Easy's going to be knocked, and now they're going to be forced to go ahead and try to reset.
The denial that Alliance just does by hitting that 2.5-second steal is actually crazier because Uvalier's alive. He's like, oh my god, I did it. And the last little tick of that second for it to go towards Alliance is insane. And now you look at the repercussions of who's left and can jockey for this mantle. Gataga, a full team of 3. Alliance still has not picked up there we go, I lied. The reset comes in for Alliance, and Gataga steal the brick. 2 minutes on the clock. NBO is a solo, and FLC a duo.
How quickly everything changes. Team Genius are gone. Team NBA are gone. 2 members of NBO are gone. It looks like FLC is also trying to go ahead and reset. They've got 2 members now up. I have to imagine that the third is not going to be able to be rezzed over there. It's kind of crazy because remember that NBO fight that happened between them and Team Gataga happened so far away that the rezzes are actually able to be found right there. Of course, they don't have that information. Now Team Gataga, they have current control over the mana brick. How are they going to play this one? Because it looks like Team Alliance is very, very close to stealing it back.
And these are going to be the 2 main teams going for the brick. And Maxa definitely want to play forward on this if he can. Big fight on the pip right there as Maxa picks up a knock onto Easy. But keep tabs on links at the back of this hallway, trying to make something happen. NBO, that reset, you get back to a duo, not going to be able to get the third.
Yeah, what it was all about there for Maxa was actually just playing defense. Remember, they have current control of the mana brick, so with them finding that first kill there, it's going to be awesome for them. But FLC Soloa have joined the fight now. Remember, this is a duo. They find that initial knock onto Vlad. So we are in a world full of duos now, as all 4 of our remaining teams have just 2 members left alive.
It's going to be brutal. Alliance with a pickup back to 3. 25 seconds, though, at the hands of Gataga. And Maxa doing what he does best, playing from the locker room. This is a very frequent positioning that he will take when defending the brick. And with 14 seconds to go, this is kind of the last chance any of our teams have to try and intercept this. And you can see Alliance rolling as a squad of 3 trying to get this. Incendiary down and Grind using his body to block the force. Grind down and out, knocks out a 3 streak. Can Alliance get it? No. Gataga, the first team with the Mandel brick.
So much utility in favor of the defense there from Team Gataga. Well played for them. And now it's going to be all about the reset here. You can see NBO, they finally went ahead and found the reset necessary, but they were just a little bit too late to the party, as Enter is now going to be finding himself in a giant pinch here amongst 2 different teams. That's going to be Lynx finding the last bit of damage necessary to go ahead and find that kill. Amongst all of the crazy stuff that has kind of happened, all of these kills are going to be just so much less valuable than that mana brick. I mean, what an incredible effort from Team Gataga to go ahead and secure it.
It's brilliant, right? We were kind of talking about them at the top of the show. They're like, they win the initial match day 1 of our group series here in EMEA. Kind of tapered off throughout the weeks. And we had that vibe check where they were talking about trying to manage any miscommunications, some minor mistakes, and just focus on the tasks at hand coming into survival match day 1. And sure, right, when you think about it, it wasn't the best showing for them on Zero Dam. They kind of fall earlier. We're asking, hey, Nox, where is that top of the kill leaderboard performance that we're used to seeing? And this right here on your screen with 4 kills, hunting with a one-shot and doing just that to Silua, that's what we've been asking for.
Looks like Nox is kind of done playing around today. He wants to go ahead and secure this from Team Gotaga. Go ahead and take a look at this replay of this shot right here. I mean, just so quick. And I was actually questioning that myself. I think earlier on in this game, I think Maxa had that and I myself was like, listen, I know what Nox can kind of do with a regular gun. I wonder what he can do with an and sure enough, that question has been answered for me. That being said, Nox is still just a solo left alive, and actually, as I go ahead and take a look at the landscape of things here, looks like we only do have solos left remaining for Team Gotaga, for Team Alliance, for Team NBO, and Team FLC. And Tiff, we might be in for what feels like a long 5 minutes remaining here on Space City.
I just want to see some solo shenanigans, let's be real. And Nox has got 1 bullet left here. Let it connect, let it rip, let it fly. He's on 5 kills, and they already have 6 as a team, plus a Mandel brick. So this is what we've been waiting for.
The kills just help out so much when it comes down to those tiebreakers, because if we go ahead and think about the scenario where Team Gotaga aren't able to pick up a second mana brick throughout the rest of the day, they need those squad points to go ahead and help them against any other team that will be able to pick up a mana brick throughout the rest of the day. And I'm taking a look at the score over there. Looks like Team Genius and Team NBA are still up there towards 21. So let's see how this one kind of plays out. And again, this is why all of our members are just waiting in the wings here. They really do want to find as many kills as they possibly can, and they currently feel like playing passive is their best opportunity to do so. That being said, I do see Nox kind of running around, and I completely forgot about the possibility of finding this res here. I mean, Soloa went down not too long ago to that so this res is actually going to be quite long, probably upwards of like 20 seconds. But Nox, he might actually go ahead and play to deny this one. The utility comes in. He's going to have the angle very, very soon. Kobe is forced off of the res, but the railing tanked all of the shots there from Nox, and Kobe is able to go ahead and find the angle necessary.
All right. Kind of putting that out so we can grab the resources and information as we take the 1v1. Lynx with the brunt of the damage, forced to disengage from that angle in FLC, looking to change that pace. You got Kobe across the way, kind of diving back and forth, left to right. How do we want to approach the angle? But keeping up the moving is going to always keep him guessing.
Crazy spot here from Lynx. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody up here on top of this bus. Kobe is seemingly a little bit more aware of it than I would have been in that situation. So still trying to kind of play around with the angles here. Question does have to be thrown out there, though. Is this solo of NBO Cook off in the distance? You know, he hears some of these shots. Does he eventually opt to go ahead and try to play spoiler to this 1v1? Now, Lynx does land some of the initial damage right there. I think the helmet got broken from Kobe, so he's trying to go ahead and finally find a full reset of the position. But oh my gosh! Kobe, with the help of the cover of the bushes, finds the shots there against the Lynx.
Gets the reset, too, to pull up Silua, so that's really nice. The only other player left on the map is NBO's Cook, but 5 kills for FLC. Now knowing that we can't get the Mano Brick, Gotaga already got that a while ago, but it's all about boosting up your kills, boosting up your squad points for that coveted tiebreaker should it come down to it.
Gonna be all about the loot as well. Remember, the actual full extracts can no longer come in as there's only 2 minutes left remaining, so it's going to be all about the backpack extract. And I think Kobe is actually going to go ahead and take an early approach to that one, as Cook is probably trying to think about making his way over there. Again, he has no idea that there's only a couple of members left remaining. So he's potentially thinking about, man, I gotta be very, very quiet in case there's like 2 full teams still left alive that can kind of cut me down early. Unfortunately, he's gonna check the map, I would have to imagine, in about 30 seconds and see that the backpack extract is gone, and his plan is going to be absolutely foiled.
I like how be very, very quiet. Like, just so quiet. Kobe back here on the Bagless Horizontal Test Workshop Extract. Get on out. 6, 5, 4. Get your assets up, because at the end of the day, we've got to run it back into Space City yet again. The potential for another 1v1. Cook's like, look, I didn't get involved in the last one. Kobe says, I did it. I won. Now I'm leaving. See, look, I'm leaving it up to you. If you want to find this 1v1 in 1 minute to go, go have at it. He doesn't know it's a 1v1. We know it's a 1v1.
Or as you can see, Solo is still kind of just running around trying to go ahead and find as much loot as he possibly can to go ahead and just keep his safe box full. See, the dog tags are, yeah, probably going to be the most valuable thing that he can find throughout. And I mean, Cook is kind of just waiting here, kind of expecting Soloa to run outside. Oh my gosh, it's the difference of like 5 pixels right there. Soloa actually goes ahead and pulls out the emo, so he feels like he's just left alone on Space City, all alone. Cook, you got to take the shot soon. He's gonna go ahead and jump down, and you're gonna miss the opportunity.
Sir, 13 seconds.
Oh no.
There we go. But I mean, look. It's fine, Cook. It's fine. You've been waiting for like 5 minutes to see some action, and when you finally do, it's okay. But the thing is, you're done. You're dusted. Time is out. Our first Space City is out of here. And look, he knows he was flirting with death at that point.
Yeah. I was like, what? There was somebody alive? I was just looting. I had my knife out. I was emoting, and then probably just jump scared at the end there. Yeah, Cook is going to be probably a little bit disappointed in that one. Had the opportunity to potentially pick up a kill on his way out. That's all right, not the biggest difference maker there. What is the biggest difference maker is, of course, our first Mando brick being captured of the day. Team Gotaga go ahead and secure it. And it's on the back foot of an incredible individual performance out of Nox. The guy that we called on earlier in the day. Why is this guy not getting kills yet? He's like, all right, Vivid, all right, Tiff, I'll go ahead and give you guys something to talk about in game number 4 when the Mando brick is on the line. Great to see Team Gotaga kind of return to form there. And again, it's on the back foot of Nox's individual performance. 5 kills for him alone.
That's absolutely massive performance, and one, like you said, we've been waiting for. For FLC, they also walk away with 5 kills as a team. You do have 4 for Mando Brick Addiction, 3 for Alliance, and it kind of tapers off. But our top killers, Nox, to no surprise with those 5 kills, is going to get the top of that leaderboard, with Skydie and Kobe kind of tying out at 3 kills apiece. But to no surprise, Nox at the top of this damage dealer leaderboard as well. And Kobe, after that final little 1v1 that he was taking, gets on there too.
See here some of the assists coming in as well. Nox can't get all of those kills without a little bit of help. Max is going to go ahead and play that role for a couple of them. But for some of the assets earned there, it's going to be Kobe. Of course, you can see a giant disparity on this leaderboard because Kobe was actually the only one able to actually extract via that backpack extract. But to nobody's surprise, our MVP there in round number 4 is going to be Nox with those 5 kills, most damage dealt. I mean, the assets gained, I mean, they're not the highest that we've seen, of course, coming out of round number 4, but those kills, they mean a whole heck of a lot more.
They truly do. Of course, we'll have to look at what all our squad points look like for our teams when we come back from this break, but I love that we have reached the point where a team is finally into win condition. So game 5 could be the very last match of our first survival match day 1, or we could keep on going with one more game. We'll have to see after this break. brick of Survivor Match Day 1 has been captured. Y'all, it was Gitaga, especially Nox, showing their presence to make our first team in win condition when we move back to Space City. But for all others, like Alliance, like NBA, especially NBA, who invested so much into that game, to not walk away with a Mandel brick, ooh, that's gotta feel not ideal.
Yeah, definitely going to be a big blow to not only their confidence, but of course their stash as well. As we go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard here, of course it's going to be Team Gotaga in first place, as they are the only team with a Mandel brick captured. Now, we'll have the opportunity to end things early here in just the next game if they're able to pick up a second Mandel brick. That being said, I mean, take a look at how close our squad points are for Team Genius, for Team NBA, and for Team Alliance. I mean, just a single point separates second through fourth place right now, which means that if they kind of remain there, if they're not one of those teams that is able to go ahead and pick up a Mandel brick, let's just say the Team Gotaga picks up the Mandel brick in this next game and ends things early, those squad points could be the difference between whether or not one of those three teams actually make it into the finals on Sunday, or if they kind of get relegated into the Survivor stage match number 2 just tomorrow. I want to take this opportunity to remind everybody at home, if any of these 6 teams end top 2 here today, they would go into the finals on Sunday. That being said, if they don't make it into the top 2, we'll have a second opportunity tomorrow. Well, this format will be played pretty much the exact same. If you get top 2 tomorrow, you go to the finals as well.
Yeah, it's gonna get really scary, but you'd love to go ahead and lock in your top 2 in Survivor Match Day 1. Of course, we do have 2 teams that are lying in wait to have only 1 day of play to lock it in. But of course, our most popular operators, that is kind of the tried and true, the Tempest, the Luna, the Stingers. We only saw a couple of Tempest invested for our first Space City of the day. Will the teams that haven't necessarily played it yet bring it in out on Game 5, especially with Gotaga in win condition? Fresh off a Tier 1 spawn at Westgate, I must say they're not eligible for another Tier 1 spawn this map.
So we'll have to kind of see what some of our other teams are able to go ahead and do with some of those Tier 1 spawns. That being said, I mean, usually we see Space City play out a little bit slow for some of those other spawns like Tier 3s. But they all kind of just ran toward the center of the map, so we'll have to kind of see if that is going to be the same thing here.
Well, for now, as we kind of get geared up for a call to action for the teams that have not gotten a Mandel brick, your time is now. But for those of you guys at home, those Delta tickets I was talking about prior to the last game, guess what? They're available right now. That redeemable code just dropped. 1,000 tickets. I may have talked about it a bit early as we were in that prior Space City, but the time is now. It's limited to 15 redemptions, and since we didn't call it out, you never know what's gonna happen. You get an easy chance. It's like trying to catch a One Piece drop online, guys. Gotta be quicker than that.
Going to be super, super tough there for anybody at home. Kind of like this pseudo competition going on. Who could be the first one to kind of redeem the code? But for that being said, Team Alliance are going to be one of our teams kind of finding themselves with this Tier 1 spawn. And this is what makes Westgate so difficult, is that the utility can just land very, very easily, especially when some of our teams like Team FLC have the lineups. Easy and grind. They're still kind of stuck here, but the smoke is going to go ahead and help them make that crawl. So Alliance are going to be fine. On the other side of things, it looks like Team NBO got that other Tier 1 spawn. And then Team NBA kind of got that central command spawn in the center, which I've kind of called out before. What feels like a Tier 1 spawn sometimes, because you can kind of get to the center of the map just as easily as some of the other teams.
Yeah, you full send. All right, in terms of investments, NBO is going to be one of our only teams with purple armor. They do bring in the gold ammo, but everyone else, for the most part, solid gold. Some Tempest coming the way of Gotaga, Genius, Alliance, and FLC. And Mandelbrick Addiction, feeling very confident yet again to go ahead, full send the initial grab of the brick, but they do not have a Tempest, so movement will be difficult, and grind yet again, going for an opening knock on them immediately. This is something that Alliance does. They wait for someone else to grab the Mandel brick, and they use this kind of upper area to just shoot down upon people.
Yeah, super tough. Kind of just run down and pick up that initial Mandel brick. Kind of saying why this grind just
pretty much out in the open. You can see that was actually dangerous for Grind as well, which is maybe why NBA weren't expecting to get shot from up there. Some of the shots started raining. I mean, he was on top of a structure that left him very, very exposed. But now for Team Alliance, they're going to go ahead and try to make something happen on the back foot of them, finding that initial kill there. It looks like their own smokes are going to go ahead and be deployed, as Easy does indeed go ahead and jump onto that man brick. And with the back of the Tempestall is able to go ahead and find himself back to safety, and conveniently enough, right next to the decoding station.
And this is the one that's usually favored for a lot of our teams. And with that decode starting, you have that 4-minute timer that's going to be kind of ticking down. For now, Alliance has to get back to full health, everything ready for the defense. You can see they've kind of isolated themselves across the way. Do have one that is left kind of in that courtyard area playing behind some of the coverage. The question is, who's going to be the first team to kind of lay sights onto them and maybe look to play? But I love that Easy is so far away looking for people coming from this angle.
Very common spot here to kind of play behind some of the bulletproof glass. A little bit of a delayed approach here from Team FLC. They're the team that spawned over by the dormitory building, so kind of just taking their time. They don't want to get caught off guard. Want to make sure that all of our teams kind of rotated in. I do got to go ahead and say that we did see NBA. They lost a couple of their members. One of the reses was able to be found, so they're now going to be a duo. But I think that duo is actually still laying in the center of the map, kind of near where that initial mana break spawned. They feel very, very timid in terms of leaving that spot right now, because last time that they tried to, kind of got shot. So they're kind of just hiding away down there. Hiding in plain sight, as one would say.
Ooh, yeah, that is kind of interesting. Okay, here's the deal. If, like, the win condition for Gataga here is you have plenty of time to make this happen, I do, however, think this is going to all fall under Grind for guarding this back ramp area, and that initial engagement could come through, but they are definitely covering all of their bases, trying to make sure that this goes off without a hitch. Elsewhere, I believe NBA is that time is ticking down on their third, so unfortunate for them. Stuck as a duo, not going to be able to get to Boldo. Instead, they find more action. Easy off the back of that cross, gets Skydie down and out, and NBA's Uvalier down to a solo.
Again, that was why they did not want to initially leave, but on the back foot of Alliance playing some of those forward positions, Team Genius have now gained access over to the coding station, and this is actually going to be a full-fledged attack. They're interested in kind of taking this right to Team Alliance, but unfortunately for them, they are going to pay for it, as Hannah was actually all the way over on top of the decoding station, and now Team NBO across the way. We're actually trying to go ahead and think about joining in on the mix, but Tyus is chopped down early on his rotate there, and on the back foot of two teams trying to go ahead and fend off this decoding station. Team Alliance, they stand strong. They didn't take nearly any amount of damage.
It's the best way to make that happen. NBO get the reset onto Matthias. So big moves for them off the back of the initial force there. And Gataga still lying in wait. And with the time ticking down ever so slightly, you see Grind still in position, being like, yo, I got this. Good little stamina boost there. Assuming that this push is coming from this side soon.
As this clock starts to tick down, it will only benefit Team Alliance. You could see it. Our match point leaders over there off in the distance, that was Team Gotaga. They're playing very, very far away, and actually on the back foot of them playing all the way over here, they were able to pick up that solo who was still alive for NBA. Yeah, NBA just had a super rough go at it, man. Like, everybody, it felt like, was kind of playing against them all the way until the very last moment for them. But for one of our other teams, I mean, FLC, it looks like they, instead of going through Westgate, actually wrapped all the way back around and went through the other employee passage. They were still a little bit scared, but again, it's all about the clock now. Team Alliance now down to just 90 seconds before the mana brick is theirs.
90 seconds, and then the potential for two teams in win condition in game number 6. Now, mind you, coming into this, Alliance was sitting at 20 squad points. 1 point behind the tied Genius and NBA, and now with NBA fully wiped, that could drop them down and allow other teams to move ahead of them on the leaderboard in terms of squad points. And of course, they can't get a brick here. Alliance getting a brick will put them in contention with Gataga, who are still down there on that southwestern side of things. FLC, time on the horizon, starting to hit the rotate, but honestly, it could be too little too late. You have to look at the teams that are closer, like NBO.
This is actually going to be quite bad for Team Gotaga. I thought that they were going to do some sort of a last-second approach here with their Tempest. Because FLC is kind of in the surrounding area, now they effectively can't. And it looks like, I mean, every single time we tune into one of these other teams like Team NBO, it looks like they're kind of just stopped at the gates here. It looks like Team Alliance just kind of being poised up well enough, might be enough to kind of go ahead and secure this mana break.
Well, there goes some smoke down. We'll see what that looks like. And instead, it's Gataga and FLC running into each other just on the outskirts of the map. Forced to drop the Tempest ult instead. You can see elsewhere, everyone is collapsing as Genius takes shots into NBO. This is a surefire brick here for Alliance with 1 second to go, and Alliance get their first Mandel brick of Survivor Match Day 1.
Yeah, all the other teams are actually fighting each other, right? I mean, Team Genius versus Team NBO off to the side, then you have Team Gotaga versus Team FLC, so Team Alliance were able to just go ahead and recline back, relax, and just wait for the timer to go ahead and bleed out right there. As you can see now, Team Alliance with the mana brick secure, they of course want to still play for as many points as they possibly can, because those squad points, I have a feeling, are going to play a big factor at the end of this competition. We've kind of got a little bit of a glimpse into where Team Genius are playing, so they're trying to go ahead and apply some of the pressure, but on the other side of things, Team Gotaga, they're trying to stay alive. They're down to just a duo, but FLC is on approach right now. The utility is going to land. Maxa is forced out into the open. Vlad tries to lay down some of the covering fire, the covering smoke, but it's not going to be enough. Team FLC find a couple of kills.
The back and forth trying to rack up all the kill points that they can. It's going to do wonders as you see Alliance has 4. Now, you mentioned that they just had kind of one of the easiest decodes, but it's because they invested so much work and that defense that was so stellar for them. Gataga, on the meantime, is really undergoing, being pushed back as Vladid there on the solo. FLC on the hunt, resources galore. And I love how they're dropping down together to stay side by side so they can get the trades if they want. And they pop on out, and hello, Vladid! You grab as much as you can before Kobe brings up the rear of FLC and sends Gataga packing.
Great shots there to give Vlad just a quick glimpse to what was potentially possible, but now for Team Genius, who was trying to go ahead and stay alive. That was going to be Chins there, left alive as a solo. He did go ahead and pick up links on his approach out, but it's going to be all about Team Alliance here. Match number 5, of course, with them kind of picking up the mana brick. They're going to soar through the top of the leaderboard because they have more squad points than Team Gotaga. They kind of win that tiebreaker there. But here's where things start to get scary, because if you do go ahead and take a look at the loadouts there for their team, as we do take a quick break to make sure that we did see that right. Yep, that was Vlad picking up a 1v2 two-piece right there in quick succession. You can see he was like so close. Not only finding the third, but potentially also just finding the second. But if what I wanted to go ahead and talk about was Team Alliance, you could see they started to turn their attention over towards those extract switches. They're able to extract with all 3 members with their gold armor and going into another game with that gold armor. Usually these teams only get 1 usage out of it. Getting a second use out of it would be so good for them in their efforts to go ahead and win this.
The thing is, you don't often see such an ease on decode. Like, that happened so fast into this map. They have plenty of time to focus on the fact that they can get out of here. There's going to be no resistance because the majority of teams have already fought. They don't know they're one of the last 2 teams on this map. But they can just focus on getting out. You are 100% correct. For FLC, what they want to do is just look for anything and everything. They have 3 kills on the board. Hopefully they can find some loot, but they're just like very conservative around this specific courtyard just because this is where all of the action happened.
Again, they've been so separated from the middle of the map for so long that now that they are currently here, they have to kind of just try to figure out what the heck happened, where everybody else is kind of left, and this is going to be just a straight up 3v3 between Team Alliance and Team FLC. The winner of this will, of course, walk away
with so much gear going into the next game because that extract is very, very close to being activated. There's only one more switch does need to be pulled. Easy's trying to make something happen on the back foot of the Tempest Stall, but he's going to get caught off guard. That's going to be Jex kind of laying in wait. Not going to go down, just going to be shot just a little bit.
There it is. Lynx with the angle, looking for any head peeks that he can get, and you're right, we could send some arrows to give us that info, but you know where they're going to peek from. Connects to the face there, just a bit of damage. A little disengaged, not enough to really do too much.
Timer is kind of running out though. I mean, that extract itself takes 4 minutes, so one of our two teams would have to kind of make their way over towards the second switch that is in the centrifuge area. That being said, I did take a quick glimpse of the map. It looks like Kobe is actually over there near that switch, so I would have to maybe question whether or not he's going to pull it. He does pull it, so there will be a giant 3v3 fight over this extract, and to kind of be the deciding factor as to which one of these two teams goes into the next match with the gold armor that they brought in.
Good point. I know Lynx is already kind of working to secure the extract spot for Alliance if they can. Jex waiting for Kobe and Silhouette to kind of join up alongside him before they look for angles if possible. There you have it. Kind of Lynx, Easy, just right behind him, and Grind kind of holding the angles from behind.
So it's get a little bit scary though for a couple of our members. I do believe Lynx is on 1 life, as we did see him kind of go down to Team Genius. He is going to be 100 out of 100 health though, because they do have that stinger, that passive kind of playing a big part here. So Lynx has to be a little bit careful. He can't get knocked out in the open. On the other side of things, FLC, they also have one of their members onto just 1 life as well. And this is a crazy play from Grind, by the way. Take a look at this. Remember, we've got the likes of Easy and Lynx kind of poised up on the extract itself. And then there's Grind, who is across the entire map waiting to play for a giant flank.
I'm down for a giant flank, honestly. It's typically what we get from Grind in particular. You think about what we saw when they kind of opened it up straight onto NBA. NBA touched the Mandel brick to initiate things, and immediately Alliance pounces on them. And now down to the final battle. Bullets swaying in the wind, trying to connect, but mostly just kind of giving away positionings here.
Big question will be, how does Grind actually find value? He kind of has some of the information here, just kind of peeking over the top. So he's going to kind of call out that he did see 2 members cross over. Lack of a third would maybe be an indicator that the third is kind of still trying to play for something sneaky, but I don't know if they have the full information necessary to 100% without a doubt call this last remaining squad a full squad of 3. We'll have to kind of see how this one plays out. You can see Jex is going to be that member playing off to the side here for Team FLC. Gets an opportunity to go ahead and take some shots at Lynx, but going to miss a couple, and that's going to be the difference maker.
Pushes them right back. And there's Lynx's POV. I mean, look, Alliance is saying we've got 6 kills, and we will totally take another 3 plus our Mandel brick, which would be an absolute banger of a match from Alliance. But still not overcommitting to any one fight, not wanting to give any team a heads up. But there is the first initial contact. It's actually Jex picking it up and hitting the finish, so a 3v2 could potentially ensue.
I mean, the last remaining play here for Team Alliance is, of course, going to be that flank from Grind. Easy's trying to make something happen with a sniper here, but shots are kind of just landing all too much here. He's going to be forced to go ahead and heal. I did see a couple of members of FLC kind of turning around and looking towards their flank, so they are, of course, aware of the possibility that still one of these members could potentially be playing for something like that, but Grind has to find value very, very soon as this extract is going off in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Time is ticking down. I still can't believe that we've spent like 8 minutes of just solely fighting and resources post that Mandel brick going incredibly quick. No steals whatsoever. But here we are, Jex fresh off the first kill on Alliance and not coming through from Kobe as he finds Easy. And here goes the extract. 3 seconds to go. The last member of Alliance finally showing presence, but it doesn't matter because it's FLC that gets on out.
Great work from FLC to go ahead and get something kind of going in their favor, right? They're going to go into the next game with full gold armor, some of that weaponry, so it will help out their economy greatly. Team Alliance, though, I mean, even if they all 3 went down, they would still walk away with this one with a big smile on their face. That being said, they're still going to be able to get 1 member out via this backpack extract. So some of the armor is still going to be accessible to the likes of Easy and some of the weapons as well. So this will be a great little cherry on top for them. But again, it's all about the mana brick. I mean, them kind of picked up with that mana brick. They're on 29 total squad points right now. That might go down once Grind does inevitably fail to extract. But they were going to be feeling quite good coming out of match number 5.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a really solid showing there in match number 5. We have someone, Gotaga grabs it in match 4, Alliance getting the brick in match number 5, and that leaves us with the potential for at least 1 more game. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, Vivid, if we go to a game 7 here today.
Is looking very, very likely. As soon as you do miss that first Mandel brick, it just becomes so much more likely that we will go the distance here. But still, the opportunity for Team Alliance and Team Gotaga to both prove us wrong. We'll have to see if they can actually do it here. For all of our other teams as well, they don't have Mandel bricks yet, which is super scary because remember, you have to get top 2 today to really make it worth it, to make your way into the finals. And with already 2 teams on a mana brick, one of these other teams have to, at the very least, pick up a mana brick to get the opportunity, to get the chance to be in the top 2. Team Alliance, though, round number 5, Space City goes their way completely. They had 6 kills, they had 1,800 damage, and they, of course, walked away with that mana brick. And with Easy extracting with 1.4 mil, their economy is probably going to be doing just fine to go ahead and finish out these last 2 rounds.
If you're an Alliance fan cheering them on, you just absolutely love to see it. FLC walk away with 4 kills, but the real deal is here. Mandel Brick Addiction and number 1 getting absolutely nothing from that round, but our top killers, Chins, grabs 3, Lynx and Easy from Alliance kind of rounding things out on our top killers. When you think about top damage, we know just how much Alliance was poking around, but it's still Chins who grabs 758 damage.
Great work there from a bunch of our players. Some of the assists flying in from Easy. No surprise there, as we did see them kind of just moving as a 3-man unit for pretty much the entirety of that game. Did see a couple of members of FLC there with some assists as well. But pretty rare for us to see anything above 1 mil on Space City. Usually these Mandelbrick rounds make them go the absolute distance and kind of forces our members to fail to extract. But the full extract going off there and back. In fact, we did see a couple of members with 1+ mil. But Easy is the MVP there of round number 5. Again, no surprise that it's going to be a member of Team Alliance. Then picked up that mana brick. We got to go ahead and hand it over to one of their members for kind of being the difference maker.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but you think about how many people invested heavily yet again with their full gold kits to try and get that even more Tempest this round of Space City, knowing that, hey, you've got to do or die at this point. If you want to get into that top 2 and lock yourself into the finals on Sunday where first place takes home 60K, the time is now, y'all. This is our potentially last Space City in game number 6, but who knows? If someone else grabs a Mandelbrick that doesn't have one yet, we could see that coveted game 7. We'll have to check in with it all after this break. Welcome back to the Delta Force Rise Series EMEA Survivor Match Day 1. We're looking for our top 2 teams to send them to the finals. And after so far, guys, it's Gataga and Alliance that have Mandel bricks. You can kind of see the vibes all around of people looking. What's the strat for the next Space City map? Do we go ahead? Do we play for the Mandelbrick? Do we want to close it out? Because Alliance and Gataga, yeah, all they need is one more brick to make it happen. And Alliance, after that game, Vivid, 28 total squad points.
Yeah, they got to be feeling very good about this. Remember, of course, they would love to go ahead and win the competition here today. But second place pretty much gets you the same exact thing. So with them having a little bit of a lead over Team Gotaga, I mean, even if, like, the likes of Team Genius were able to go ahead and pick up 2 mana bricks over games 6 and 7, then they would kind of still be in second place right now. So Team Alliance, they kind of just got to play to their strengths and kind of maintain those squad points to see if they can go ahead and walk away in first or second place. Now we are entering game number 6 here, so our operator pool is going to be a little bit limited for all of our teams. You can see Team Alliance and Team Number 1, the only 2 teams left remaining with a single use of the Tempest left remaining. Still a bunch of Stingers being available, some of our teams, a couple of Lunas in the mix as well. So a couple of our teams probably going to be forced onto something they're not necessarily as comfortable in. I think it's going to be important for us to note, though, Tiff, is that if and only if we go to game number 7, this operator pool is actually completely reset for all of our teams, and they will be able to use any operators that they do so please. That is something to kind of think about, taking a look at all of these restrictions that currently are on the table.
I think that's the best way to describe it, right? A lot of our teams that have already expended their Tempest, there's a really good chance that we get a Game 7 here today for Survival Match Day 1, knowing, hey, but you know, those last 2 Tempests are definitely coming out this next round. So make sure if you've got it, use it to the best of your capabilities and potentially end it out here if you're Gataga and Alliance. But if you're not, and you don't have a Mandel brick yet, you've got to bring it one more game, because if Alliance closes it out, Gataga has a brick, they're locked into second place, and vice versa. Everyone else, you're pretty much chopped. You're going to day 2.
Still, the opportunity there, though, is probably going to let those teams rest easier than, you know, if they were kind of relegated from the competition. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of our spawn opportunities going into game number 6. I'm seeing NBA, Team Gotaga, Team Genius, and Team FLC the possibility to get some of those tier 1 spawns. Remember, I do want to kind of note that tier 2 spawn up to the north there, towards that central command building. Whatever team usually spawns there can just run across that center bridge and kind of gets to the center of the map very, very quickly as well. So it's kind of like a tier 1.5 spawn. I feel like we need to go ahead and note that one down as also being very, very good. But that being said, I kind of talked about it going into game number 5. All 6 of these teams have been making their way to the center of the map very, very quickly, regardless of where they've spawned. So pretty much equal opportunities across the board for all of these teams.
Yeah, you've kind of set the sights out really good in terms of our spawns, but it's all about locking it in, readying it up, because the potential final Space City map is about to get underway. Of course, if we do to game number 7, there's a chance that we could go back to Brackish, in which no one got a brick back in round 2, and that seems like an absolute eternity to go. And now FLC on your screen, they found good fights, they did take an extract out of game number 5, and now they'll have, you know, some nice little gear to bring in back to back on game 6.
Have to see if they can go ahead and use that small advantage that they do have, kind of get the ball rolling for them. It is going to be important for all 4 of our teams that do not currently have a mana brick to make sure that they find themselves picking up one. Because if either of the 2 teams, I mean, if you're kind of thinking about it, right? For Team Alliance and Team Gotaga, if they could kind of get word, get whim somehow with some sort of information that the other team, right? Let's say, how about Team Gotaga in this instance? Let's say Team Gotaga doesn't have control of the mana brick, but they're like, oh, wait a minute. Team Alliance has control of the mana brick. They should be completely fine with Team Alliance actually securing that mana brick, because then we would end the competition right here, right now, and Team Gotaga would be guaranteed second place, and they would go to finals, right? So there is this little bit of a strategy to be employed by the 2 teams that currently have a mana brick, who not only obviously want to capture the mana brick, but they also want the other team that has a mana brick to then pick up the mana brick as well.
God, it's going to be a really interesting map. I can imagine that we're not going to see any free decodes here. That is not going to happen again. I cannot believe that we saw such an ease there in game number 5 in NBO. This is the team that won that match day on a Friday when they were inside the bottom 2 of our group stage standings. It threw them up into such a place in which they got to play on survival match day 1. And if things don't go their way, they can play again tomorrow. But they kept their tournament dreams alive to try and get into those finals on Sunday. And I don't want to say the vibes are chalked, but Cook was looking slightly stressed. Or maybe he's just taking a moment before this potential last Space City.
I mean, if any of our players were going to be stressed at any point during the Rise 30s, it of course is going to be this weekend. Again, the group stage kind of felt like something that was very forgiving in the sense that, you know, you had 6 total opportunities to go out and play. So if you had a bad week or you had a bad day, you had, you know, 5 other opportunities kind of make up for it on the leaderboard. Then it's like, well, you know, if I play bad in the group stage on the leaderboard, maybe I'm not one of the top 2 teams, but I still got those survivor moments on Friday and Saturday this weekend. So constantly, this competition has constantly felt very, very forgiving. When you actually get to this weekend specifically, the pressure, without a doubt, has to hit, because it's like, hey, listen, if we don't qualify today, we have one more opportunity to get 1st or 2nd place. So I feel like right now the pressure has definitely hit some of those players. So great for you to kind of note down that, yeah, going through some of the player cams, the stress was looking very, very obvious.
I'm definitely stressed alongside him, but as we gear up for game number 6, guys, if you're at home and you want to see what the Delta Force Rise series is all about, registration opens August 10th for the Season 2 Open Qualifier. If you don't have a team, you better hit up Discord, hit up the communities, try and get your squad together, and make sure you follow us for updates at @DeltaForce_game so you don't miss your chance to compete, because we would love to see you kind of up against a lot of our teams that have been playing in Season 1. And who knows, you could be finding yourself in those Season 2 finals.
It'd be great to see some of the new names kind of enter the scene here, see if they can kind of compete with some of these teams. But for the time being, Team Gotaga and Team Alliance, they currently stand towards the top of the leaderboard. They are our top 2 teams that if we ended the competition, let's say just right now, before Game 6 even ended, they would go ahead and make their way to the finals. With that being said, Team Gotaga, they got to make their way through Westgate first, as some of the shots do land. But it looks like Nox is going to be fine, even though he did lose his armor. And being still alive is going to be great for them. Now, on the other side of things, Team Gotaga, of course, with this Tier 1 spawn. Team Genius, on the other side, got the other Tier 1 spawn. And then FLC, you can see them right in front of Team Gotaga here. They are already in the center of the map as well.
Good to shout out Genius here, because as we jump on board with them to see where they're currently at, they had a really hot start to our match day here today, but have kind of tapered off and have found themselves in some of these engagements just have not gone their way. As they work towards that Mandel brick to swipe it, you can see a lot of people, after investing so heavily, are only on gold ammo. We do have one team that is still solid gold, and we'll see what they're able to do with it as Chins grabs the Mandel brick.
Yeah, it's super scary to kind of go through with some of these plays as, oh my gosh, it's Team Alliance again in this game with a little bit of an assist from the Havoc auto tank there. Unfortunately, picking up Shin, so that's going to be 2 members of Team Genius. But the reason why I mentioned that it's Team Alliance again, because in game number 5, when NBA had ran down to the center of the map to pick up the mana brick, it was Team Alliance that denied them the exit to even walk away with that mana brick. And it's Team Alliance once more now onto Team Genius to go ahead and deny that mana brick from leaving the center of the map.
They're the Space City Reapers and looking to run it back if they can.
Oh, great grab.
Oh, whoa, we saw the util coming through, and they're like, yeah, okay, bye. So they're just getting down, and now we know that Genius is a duo for the time being.
Soon to be back to a trio. Again, so it's really weird to kind of talk about, because Team Alliance, they've got multiple ways to secure their way into the finals. Again, they can secure the mana brick for themselves. Easy enough. They could let Team Gotaga, quote-unquote, let Team Gotaga kind of secure the mana brick, and then Team Alliance would be second. But Team Alliance could also just pretty much deny any other team from ever picking up a mana brick in game number 6 and in game number 7. And if Team Alliance and Team Gotaga at the end of the only two teams with a mana brick, then of course they're going to be the top two teams that go to the final. So multiple different ways to actually win the competition now for Team Alliance and Team Gotag.
They're sitting so nicely with those initial Mandel bricks, but hopefully Genius can pull it together and grab themselves a Mandel brick and get it decoded. Of course, then we would go to that game 7, and who knows what the heck's gonna happen, because then you put yourself in a position where you have multiple teams with a Mandel brick, and it's gonna come down to squad points, or if you can grab 2, and then still tiebreakers. But you see Alliance kind of looking at that black chamber area, not really committed as Genius yet to where they want to go. Obviously, we're not going north. The time is there if we do want to run up the Central Command Bridge and go up to the northeast. Elsewhere, FLC taking a knock on a Kilo, so that potential decode is going to be stifled for now.
And Team Genius are having a rough go at it so far. They've played great in terms of actually finding the reses and the opportunity to kind of reset here, but it's been super, super tough for them to kind of just stay alive, kind of stay on their feet here. But oh my gosh. Was that a replay, or was that just pretty much the same thing happening again?
Nah, they're just doing a little bit of the same. A little bit of the same, I think.
That was a replay. Okay,
I didn't see it, but that transition right there just definitely gave the replay. I was like, wait, no, we're getting same. FLC just being a nuisance.
I was like, there's no way. I'm deja vu to the extreme. I was like, this just happened, right? So I'm a little lost in the sauce myself there. That was, of course, a replay. So Team Genius back to a full 3-man roster, but they still do have control over that Mandel brick. That being said, they are kind of in an area over towards that test range location to where they don't really have immediate access to a decoding station. The two closest ones that they could kind of make their way through is, of course, Black Chamber. Team Alliance are full 3-man roster currently set up in there, so they don't want to go that way. They could technically run over to that Sands position that you were talking about to the east of Central Command, but that is a super scary run to make. And as I say that, Hannah might be running over this way to see if he can kind of pick up on any information, whether or not there's a team over here. Actually, no, there's full Senate. All 3 of Team Genius are going to make their way over towards this sand location, and this could potentially be where this is decided.
And this is actually one of the decoding stations that isn't frequently chosen. Like, anytime you get one of those off-caliber picks, it's usually dormitory. To go that route.
Going dormitory.
Yeah. Okay, right. See, that's what I was going to say. We're carving left, but we might find some resistance here as you see them doubling back. 38 seconds to go until it is absolutely reset. You send 2 players out to try and defend that left side, going for a crazy play. It's actually NBO that was stopping them as you see the brick committed to the east side of Central Command building.
Yeah, I think now they were going to go dormitory, but they're like, wait a minute, there's a team over here. Let's go all the way back. And it looks like Chins was sent as a solo to run over towards that Sands area, but still 2 members of Team Genius are kind of left over here to fight off NBO, and now Chins has kind of picked up on some sort of information that tells him MPA is over here. This mana brick is going to get set back to the middle of the map, and there it goes. These teams only have 5 minutes to work with to actually go ahead and do something with the mana brick, and once they fail to do anything with it, it goes back to the center. And there it is. It's been fully reset now.
The question is, will Alliance pick up on it? Because Genius and NBO are going to be running at each other throughout multiple fights. FLC, patience is a virtue. They definitely have it. They go ahead. They grab the Mandel brick.
All right, an opportunity for FLC to kind of fly up the leaderboard here. On the back foot of that, Kobe is also able to go ahead and pick up Grind. And whilst all this is going on around the center of the map, it looks like Team Genius is winning out that fight over towards Central Command building onto NBO. FLC, all eyes are on you. Can you actually make something happen? And unfortunately, there it is, NBO. They are going to be chopped down completely in game number 6 here, so they're going to be left to wait to see if they're even given the opportunity to play in game number 7. The deciding factor there will be whether or not Team Alliance or Team Gotag are able to pick up their second mana break. But where are Team FLC thinking about taking this mana break? I mean, I guess it has to be over towards the backpack extract, but I mean, this rotate, super scary.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most insane space cities we've had thus far. Like, I thought the fact that we seeing Alliance grab a nice decode in game number 5 was peculiar, but honestly, Survivor Matchday 1 in general has just been wild for FLC. I'd love to see us get this brick down, but we didn't even talk about the horizontal test workshop decode, and once you can get it down there, if we decide to go that way, which it really does seem FLC is committed to that, you can pretty much defend the crap out of that. You like kind of hit this position where you grab the high ground, you play some off caliber angles, and you make it happen. The issue with this is, as we pull up the map, Alliance, who had defended the black chamber decoding station, had such a nice rotate to be able to just drop down and defend that decode. NBA carved their path down on the east side and joined them. So these two fighting each other are going to have so much of a distraction that, I don't know, FLC is going to have to fight for a decode, or we're just carving our path back.
I mean, this is like the same thing that we just saw Team Genius do. They were like, let's go to the north side of the map, and then they were like, wait, there's teams here. What do we do now? FLC are kind of stuck in a little bit of a pickle here because they realize that there's teams already over by the coding station that they wanted to go to. But now, if they run back to where they just came from, Team Genius have already kind of taken over that position as well. So FLC effectively have nowhere that they can go.
This is actually so difficult to make happen. We have less than 9 minutes in this space city, and not a single team has landed this Mandel brick into a decode. And NBO is just forced to sit in that lobby and wait to see how their fate plays out. Does someone hit a double brick? Is it Alliance or Gataga that throws it down? Or do we go to game 7 where we can hopefully vie for a tiebreaker? And even then, it's not even like you're able to have the squad points that would be enabled to have it. You have to have one of the biggest games of the Delta Force Rise series in general at that point.
FLC, though, they've done a great job of making this rotate actually happen. It looks like they will gain access to the decoding station here, or at least they could have, as I feel like they could have just ran over to that decoding station that remains in between Buoyancy and Centrifuge, but they opted to actually go ahead and play from the inside here. So maybe potentially interested in trying to clear out Team Genius before they actually put that mana brick down. I mean, the clock is ticking here, Tiff. As this goes further and further, again, remember, Team Alliance and Team Gotaga, they would love it if nobody secured this mana break.
Yeah, because they're chilling and almost guaranteed an easy path into the finals. But that game 7 could be difficult if someone else decides to grab a Mandel brick. And of course, FLC trying to make that happen. But also, after picking up some nice kills and extracting that last game, they're so close in squad points to Gotaga. So if they do get a Mandel brick here, it is down to the absolute wire in game 7.
Team Genius are probably like, hey guys, like, why are you trying to fight us? Just go put the Mandel brick in, right? Like, we're kind of just letting them go over towards that little bit of an area, but they kind of were forced to play on the outside now. And yeah, now Team Genius have full control over that Mandel brick station. I mean, FLC are a team that needs to capture a mana brick here if they want to make it into the final through day number 1 here. And with them kind of being reluctant to actually go ahead and place it into the station, to me it kind of feels like they weren't playing for their quote-unquote win condition.
I mean, that is definitely a way to look at it, and it's incredibly difficult when we're 6 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock, and that first initial decode is 4 minutes. So we could see no one get a Mandel brick here.
Now leaning more and more towards that way for sure, as it looks like NBA are like, hey, what the heck are you guys doing? I guess we'll go ahead and try to pick up this mana brick and see if we can make something happen. But with only 6 minutes remaining, remember that initial Mandel brick decode time takes 4 minutes. So now there's only effectively 2 minutes remaining for a team to kind of make something happen, and there's so much to do. You have to pick up the mana brick, you have to make your way over to a decoding station, and actually go ahead and start that decoding process. But they're going to try to make it happen, but so many shots is going to land here for NBA. They're going to go ahead and try to go ahead and hide into the smokes of things. And they are able to go ahead and make one of those rotations. But again, what is going to be the actual play here? Do they run over to the Sands area like Team Genius tried to do? Or do they run towards Black Chamber? I feel like their only hope right now is to try to run north and potentially do what Team Genius tried to do. I think that's what they're going to opt for.
You kind of have to. Everyone's already rotated down towards the south, and just knowing that you've already taken so many shots just off the initial Mantle Brick re-pickup, now you can see we're painting the picture of the map. Genius is going to be on that western side. They kind of catch wind that there's potential for it going to that central command bridge. They are full sending it back on the chase. Uvalier checking behind him on the zip to see, hey, is there anyone coming? We are pretty exposed running throughout here, so I love the call to invest a smoke.
But there it is. I think it's Team Genius that's going to land some of the shots here. Sure enough, it's going to be Klo. Again, it's Team Genius that also needs to pick up a mana brick. If you go ahead and cut down the opportunity for another team to place it, you effectively make it impossible for yourselves to secure the mana brick. So I feel like we've seen some questionable decisions from a couple of our teams here, but NBA are now effectively going to be absolutely stuck with nowhere to go, and I feel like with them kind of being stuck in this position, we have entered the stage of the game here where the mana brick being captured feels impossible.
Truly is. That is absolutely wild. And for NBA, if you can get this down in like 5 seconds, no, I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. We are below 4 minutes. I love that we got it down, but there's just not gonna be enough time to make that happen. 0 bricks will be going towards any teams here in game number 6. You know what that means? We're getting another game. We're going to game 7.
Now, technically, we could see some weird stuff happen where if like 7 steals happen in the next minute, the deco timer would drop down below the match timer, but I highly doubt that that's going to happen. So yeah, I don't think a mana brick will be captured here in game number 6. And yeah, going the absolute distance here in the Survivor stage day number 1, and the pressure is going to be on for all 4 of the teams that do not have a mana brick. Remember, you got to be top 2 to make it into the finals. And again, Team Alliance and Team Gotaga, they're going to be smiling right now because they're like, hey, listen, if nobody picks up a mana brick, we are guaranteed top 2.
Yeah, actually, pretty big good sights there for Alliance as Genius look to intercept. Down to 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Were they going to walk away and see if someone else be like, come on, take it. We're going to wave the white flag. Keep going for it. I just could not imagine. Alliance is probably sitting up there like, nah, bro, we're not helping you get a mantle break.
Yeah, without a doubt. See, some of the shots are starting to land here, and I usually would make the point that these squad points might end up being a difference maker, so the kills do no matter what. I guess they technically do because, you know, if a team like NBA get a mana brick right now, but they have less points than Team Gotaga in game number 7, then that could be the difference maker there. And sure enough, as I say that, NBA, they find a knock onto Hannah. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to fully secure that kill right there, and it doesn't look like they will. On the back foot of that, it's going to be Uvalier landing a grenade over the top to secure it.
Ooh. All right. Well, little brawls are going to be happening as Grind does get fooled. Alliance now down to a duo. Still can make the regame, but I don't know if we'll be able to grab that as Genius. You see Kilo get absolutely laid out as Chins just hits the run.
Yep, it's time to try live here to make something happen. Again, those points could technically still matter. But we are down to not a lot of time remaining here on Space City game number 6, and unfortunately there for Team Genius, they're going to be cut down early. It's going to be FLC picking up a kill there. A couple of their members still left alive. Now, points mean a lot for them because remember, still something to play for here for some of our teams that don't have a mana brick yet captured in terms of their squad points, because they're going to have to beat out Team Gotaga if the tiebreaker does come down to that. We'll have to see how these last 30 seconds kind of play out.
A little bit of a brawl. Maxa kind of wanting to get cheeky here if we can between the rocks from a distance. But I'm just looking in terms of the squad points, right? Gotaga does not have the most squad points. So if something crazy happens in game number 7 and someone else gets it, oof. You've got to be worried, and especially with Siloa grabbing a nice little pick onto Nox like that. Oof.
think our match timer has hit 0 there, but you can see there's actually 20 seconds remaining, so a little bit of something wonky going on there. We do have a couple of seconds still remaining for our teams to go ahead and pick up some of the kills, and it looks like FLC is going to be the breadwinners in terms of that category. These kills actually mean a lot between Team Gotaga and any of the other teams that have yet to pick up a mana brick, so we'll have to see how this one goes, as Boldo is able to pick up one onto Maxa right there. Should just be a couple of seconds remaining. And yep, sure enough, game number 6 on Space City is going to end. That is now 2 games today, Tiff, where we have seen a Mandelbrick not captured at all. How weird has day number 1 of the Survivor stage been?
The crazy thing is, this very well could also happen tomorrow. So the 2 teams that are waiting to play for Survivor Match Day 2 are definitely going to be locked into watching what the heck is happening here. And it's like, okay, what are our strats? Because everything that you've seen and played for in the group stages, you thought you had it figured out. You thought you knew what was going to happen. And then Survivor Match Day 1 happens, and the entire floodgates open. Everything is playing out so differently, a lot more reserved. We're seeing 2 games go by where no Mandelbrick is obtained, but there is one thing that I do know, is that the Genius can frag. 4 KP, 1.6 million assets gained. The issue is, we still don't have a Mandelbrick for this team.
Going to be the difference maker without a doubt to dictate who actually qualifies for the finals on Sunday. You can kind of break down how this one went, but again, with those mana bricks not being captured by all 6 of our teams, it leaves Team Alliance and Team Gotaga sitting well and pretty up there towards the top of the leaderboard in 1st and 2nd place. Some of the top killers there trying to make something happen, and some of our damage dealers as well. You can see multiple members of Team Genius finding their way towards the top of these categories. You see Chins up here. Again, a very passive game number 6. I mean, outside of there not being a mana brick captured, I felt like we didn't see any fighting really go down. I mean, we did have that one 3v3 happened between Team Genius and Team NVO. Outside of that, I mean, all 5 teams were pretty much left alive until the last, 3 minutes of that one.
Yeah, and as our round 6 MVP goes to Silhouette here, I'm so nervous, because FLC, they tried. They got the Mandelbrick. They were looking for a place to decode. They found a couple of kills. They were trying to stack it their way if they could. But now that we go the distance, we're looking towards that game 7. Our team in last place, y'all, is going to select whether they'd like to run it back on Space City or if we return to Brackish. And I think that's kind of the biggest question, Vivid.
Yeah, I would love to know whether or not, or kind of, get a little sneak peek into what the thought process there is between Space City and Brackish. I feel like most of the time this has happened, though, we've gone back to Space City. But I have seen it go to Brackish, and it definitely kind of adds an interesting spin on the things.
Definitely. The ones that I've been on the mic for, we've gone back to Brackish. They're like, you know what? Go get us back to game 2. But mind you, we did not see anyone take a Mandelbrick on Brackish either. So there's a lot of things to be discussed before we figure out where we are headed for game number 7. But of course, it's all coming up after this break. The final game is upon us here for Survivor Match Day 1. Which two teams will lock in their tickets to the Delta Force Rise Series Finals to compete for a potential first place $60,000 on Sunday? Now, mind you guys, Dark Entities and WLG are sitting back, notebooks out, waiting to see who's going to join them in that finals lobby. And as you see, our teams without a Mandelbrick, MBA, who has been fighting so hard throughout this, Genius too, fragging all day, just wanting to let things come together. But at the end, Vivid, it is literally Gotaga and Alliance that are the only two teams with Mandelbricks.
Yeah, and I feel like with the big lead that Team Alliance has over Team Gotaga right now in terms of those squad points, it's not guaranteed, but there is a very high likelihood that Team Alliance will, at the very least, get second place here today. So their qualification spot is it's pretty much secured right now. Again, it's possible that they do get kind of knocked out, but we'll have to kind of see how it ends up all playing out. That would have to be Team Gotaga with an incredible run here in game number 7. And Tiff called it. Brackish will be the pick here. This will be where it is all decided who will actually qualify through to the finals on Sunday.
We're brawling on Brackish, baby. And as you guys know, any one operator is back on the table. They are unlocked. We typically see a lot of Alluru Toxic Raptors. You think about it this way, back in game 2, we saw a Royal Museum decode. It did step away for a bit before committing to that decode station, but also there will be an airdrop on the map as well. So potential potential M82 in play. We'll just have to wait and see.
Crazy stuff could potentially happen here on Brackish, but you brought up a great point earlier on as we do go ahead and take a look at the tier 1 spawns here. It could be the team of number 1, NBA Alliance up there as well, and FLC Clan. But that great point that you kind of brought up earlier on is that these 6 teams, they've played Brackish earlier before today, and nobody got the mana brick. Now, of course, you know, obviously it's going to go ahead and change now that the fact that the stakes have changed, and obviously all the spawns are kind of changing, so it could potentially play out a little bit differently. But it does beg the question, right? Why was Brackish picked? The team in last place has to go ahead and justify this one to make a great comeback here, to fly all the way up the leaderboard and make sure that they're in the top 2.
It has to be the best dang game of Delta Force we have seen throughout our series if you are looking to make a play for that top 2, because you called it perfectly. Alliance have so many squad points. Now it's all about seeing that tiebreaker. If a different team grabs a Mandelbrick to join that, it comes down to squad points. It comes down to the final game. Who is going to be in our Delta Force finals on Sunday? You've got to step up and play your heart out.
I want to remind everybody at home that for the 4 teams that will not pick up top 2 today, they will have the opportunity to once more play tomorrow, and that last chance to kind of qualify for the finals. So not necessarily relegation here today. So if your team unfortunately does not pick up a top 2 spot today, make sure you go ahead and support them here tomorrow, as they will be back on the stage. But I can guarantee you that none of our players are thinking about tomorrow. They don't want to play tomorrow at all. They want to go ahead and qualify right here, right now. And Brackish stands in their way. Team Alliance stand in their way. Team Gotaga stand in their way. Like Tiff mentioned, the best game of Delta Force they have ever played could be the difference maker.
As we start things off with one of our teams that has a Mandelbrick, Alliance, as they are full sending straight towards Royal Museum alongside MBA. And you think of all those Space City matches in which MBA pick up the Mandelbrick first, it was always Alliance there to put the shots onto them. And we'll see who's able to do it, because you know Alliance is not gonna make this easy.
Seeing a whole heck of a lot of Tempest. Actually, I think this is the first time I have ever personally seen it. A double Tempest from Team Alliance. As a quick reminder to everybody at home, once we get to Game 7, all of the operator picks are kind of reset, and our teams can effectively have 2 of the operators, you know, back in their arsenal, which is why we do see the double Tempest. That being said, Tempest is great at using her ultimate, but the defensive utility, it's kind of there, right? With the disarms that can be thrown, but there are definitely better operators out there that can kind of play defensively, which makes me think maybe Team Alliance don't want to play defensively at all. Maybe they just want to continuously cycle into steals with those double Tempest ults and kind of just run the clock down and make sure nobody picks up the mana brick. That is maybe what they're going to play for.
That's a diabolical plan, and if that comes to fruition, I hope it does, because Alliance has everything that all of our other players want. They have the squad points, they have a Mandel brick, and they are so close to locking that ticket into finals. But as we set our tables here, Gataga kind of doing a bit of what they did our last brackish maps, right? They kind of loot up into the north, they descend down, they grab the airdrop, and then move forward. For Alliance, we did hear a couple of shots going the way, but they're just basically clearing out this position on the map. Genius out towards the west. FLC have descended just below Asura camp and are playing kind of spread out from there. NBA, this is that building we typically see people kind of drag the clock down after they've grabbed the Mandel brick, but for now we're being a bit more conservative.
They want to let everybody at home know as well that every single one of these games on the competitive side of things for Delta Force, the match timer starts at 18 minutes, and it takes 2 minutes for those Tempest ults to become activated. So when you see 16 minutes remaining on these match timers, we know that the Tempest ults are now available, and sure enough, as I was kind of making the point here, Team Genius, they're interested in trying to go ahead and pick up this mana brick, but NBA are probably going to try to defend it, but some great disarms actually land from Chins, but Grind, another team, is kind of waiting in the wings to kind of chop down the position that he was hoping to play safe from, and the initial attempt at the mana brick is going to be denied.
Actually crazy. But every bit of trying to move this Mandel brick throughout our last maps have been like moving through sludge. You have to start to think, like, Alliance getting that initial brick on Space City, and when they did in map 5 was like the best thing that could have happened for them, but they have absolutely denied everyone the opportunity to get it elsewhere.
I did hear a Tempest ult activate right there. I'm not entirely sure which team utilized it, so we'll have to kind of wait and see if there is some sort of a play being made anywhere around the map. Kind of funny, I mean, you've got 2 members from Team Alliance top, and their third member is actually down below just looting up to try to go ahead and maintain those squad points. You have to imagine that's kind of like the call there for them. I hate to sound like a broken record, but remember, Team Alliance with so many win conditions, I mean, just all about denying this mana brick from anybody capturing it would be great for them. And as this clock continues to run down here, Team Gotaga and Team Alliance, it's just a win for them.
That's true. I mean, Alliance playing so defensively and being in control is allowing Gotaga to benefit from that success as Genius finds easy, picks up enough, which was to be expected of you, especially if you've got one or the other kind of separating themselves out and looting. But does this open the door for someone to be able to pick up the Mandel brick? Now, mind you, Genius has the second most squad points of our lobby as it currently stands. So if they grab themselves a Mandel brick, Gotaga is in a very difficult position then.
Yep, still not guaranteed by any means for Team Gotaga, because they are kind of lower on that scoreboard with the squad points. We'll have to see kind of what they're going to be interested in doing. Big question here for me is, right, Team NBA, and they're one of the teams, they're 5th place on the leaderboard right now. You want to be top 2 to qualify to finals. They've got to make something happen here. And they've kind of been hanging out in this house for 5 minutes since the game started and have not really made any progress towards capturing this mana brick. I mean, sure, they just went ahead, they ran outside the house and they picked up the mana brick, but what now, right? I mean, you picked up the mana brick, but they're kind of playing like I would expect Team Alliance to play right now. They're kind of just denying access to the mana brick, but you guys actually need the mana brick to make its way over to the coding station at one point or another.
That's very true. We check in with FLC, who do have the airdrop spawning just below them. So what they do is they go pick it up, M82 in hand, and now we'll see if they can find some purchase with their newly acquired gear.
All right, NBA have kind of returned to a full 3-man roster right here. They saw that one of the members from Team Alliance was actually running down Team Genius, so they took that opportunity to, I think, jump out of that building Now I have to imagine that MPA are going to make a little bit of a rotate, and sure enough, they are going to go ahead and leave the safety and the comfort of the building that they have been in now for such a long time. That being said, if they continue along this path, it's going to get a little treacherous, because FLC, you can see them off in the distance, are actually waiting in this general area.
They just picked up the M82 from the south side of Asura Camp, which is one of the famed decoding stations. They also have the opportunity of going up mid-map north, which would be the Brackish Market decoding station, or else you can go Reservoir area. Now, that decode used to be just out in front of Blue River Hotel, in which there is still one over there, but we will have to wait and see as we hit this replay.
It was one of those kills that actually happened quite long ago when NBA picked up that initial mana brick. Coming back over to some of the other replays there, see some of the shots kind of being traded back and forth, but no need to worry. All of our teams are still healthy. Is kind of paying attention here to what kind of rotates are happening. It looks like Team NBA, again, have really made no progress on the map so far towards making their way over towards any of the decoding stations. And I'm going to tell everybody at home, I mean, me and Tiff, of course, you know, we were talking in the break that we had here, and I think we both kind of agreed that we did not have high hopes for any team picking up a mana brick here. It just feels like the amount of control that two teams on the map currently have over all of the other teams, just kind of the likelihood of Team Alliance and Team Gotaga playing to just deny the mana brick, it doesn't really seem likely at all that any team is going to be able to pick up this mana brick.
It's just difficult to even just play the game. And how many times have we said our teams are just focusing on staying in their lane, controlling what they can control? And right now, it's not much. With the way Alliance has made things so incredibly difficult, what can you do? And the time is ticking for NBA to be able to lock it down. Smokes throughout, and here we go, full run at it for the potential.
Super difficult. I mean, like you said, I really like the fact that you said it's just difficult to play in general. Every single move that you make right now could feel like a mistake, because again, these teams, I mean, all 6 of our teams have really made no movement in the past 10 minutes. So they don't know what's going on around them. And here's where the compositions get interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the information gathering operators that all 18 of our players have. I see a Luna for Team Gotaga, and then I see a Luna for Team NBO. That is your 2 main information gathering operators. So all of these other teams, they find it super difficult to rotate around the map because they can't actually get any information. I mean, you could argue that the Allurus could use their ultimates to fly a rocket to gain some information, but again, it's just, the information is just super lackluster. That being said, NBA finally make their way towards this museum. They make a little bit of progress, but what's going to be the answer here? Are they going to make their way over towards the market area? We haven't been over to that decoding station in quite some time.
You also have the Blue Eagle up ahead, and now Alliance gets their sights onto NBA as one by one they fall like dominoes. It's just Skydie left standing for NBA with a mere 20 seconds left before this resets. And even if Skydie gets it down to decode here at Brackish Market, you have to have a flawless defense in a 1v the rest of the lobby.
Team Gotaga are trying to deny it, but Skydie as a solo does put the mana brick down. All right, so there is going to be a chance for some of our teams to go ahead and pick this one up, but the team that was already over in this general area was Team Gotaga. Remember, they would be quite happy with securing it for themselves or just kind of denying it, but it looks like they went ahead and jumped onto the mana brick and are interested in potentially playing for it himself. This would be a crazy clutch from Skydie. Somehow, some way, he's able to secure this mana brick.
Honestly, that would be heroic. Then the issue is, what do your squad points look like? Because Gotaga has 22. And sure, FLC and Genius currently as it run have more than that, but NBA is trailing.
So quiet amongst the map. I mean, again, all of these teams, they've got to win. can't just let this one go. There's no more group stage. You can't be happy with third place and the amount of points that you would get. The only thing we're playing for here today is those first 2 spots. You gotta pick up a mana brick if you're Team Genius. You gotta pick up a mana brick if you're Team FLC, if you're NBA, if you're NBO. It's the only way to break into the top 2 right now. But the pressure has to be on them. FLC, we've got some sight lines here from the Azure Town area. The Team Genius, they try to make a little bit of a play, but their Tempest is going to be sent back, and that's pretty much going to absolutely put a stop to their push.
Almost to that 2-minute mark for Gataga on the deep code. And Genius, you're just starting to get shredded by FLC here, as you see. Gonna just throw in the rocket over there. The full comes in. Now Genius down to a duo for the time being. And these are some of the other teams that could steal it from Gataga. But with the match point timer in general being where it is, this is going to be really difficult.
Yeah, not looking good right now for teams that need to go ahead and pick up a mana brick, but looking absolutely great for Team Alliance and Team Gataga. As you can see, Grind there leaves the museum. By the way, don't know if you caught that. He was waving to the camera right there as he went ahead and picked up that kill. So Team Alliance, smiles on their face. They're kind of emoting not only in the game, but also in their player games right now, because remember, they just got to lay in wait here and kind of let this thing kind of play out. They are so far ahead of the rest of the competition, and all they need is second place. Team Gataga, not totally secure into second place right now. They still want to go ahead and prevent any of the other teams from picking up this mana brick. For example, if Team Genius were to pick up the mana brick, they would push Team Gataga out of second place. So still a lot to play for from Team Gataga.
51 seconds, and I see the weakness in Alliance's armor. 1 player down, but it doesn't matter. If Gataga hits the decode, Alliance nets themselves an auto-guaranteed spot inside that top 2 because they have a Mandel brick. So, for them, this 35 seconds needs to go off without a hitch if Gataga can grab this. For FLC, though, they're going to do something about it.
No.
And do they know? It's stopped. It's halted by Alliance.
Now Lynx and Grind, they're starting to go ahead and jump onto the mix here on top of the coding station. But remember, Team Alliance, they have multiple Tempest. They keep sending those ultimates in. And on the back foot of that, they actually know that Team Gataga have control of the mana brick, because when they sent in one of their members, it was the member of Team Gataga that got the elimination on them. But look at this. Jex is trying to make one last final ditch effort, and he does just that. He steals away the mana brick and keeps the competition alive.
But the lobby is erupting in chaos. Genius doesn't exist. NBA doesn't exist anymore. It is legitimately 4 squads remaining, and Gataga is a solo here. The only mission of Alliance and Gataga is to either A, make sure that no one else gets the Mandel brick. And if they can stop this, that match point timer is going to do enough work for them.
Great opportunity here for FLC to make something happen. The only question remains, what are Team Alliance going to do? They're going to have 2 Tempest Ults available for them. I initially mentioned that when they sent in one of their initial Tempest Ult, they had been taken out by a Team Gataga member, and that was the information that they needed to kind of just let that mana brick go. So they didn't actually try to play against it, because they were like, hey, if Team Gataga gets it, whatever, we'll get second place. We know that.
Right.
But now they've kind of lost grasp of that information. I don't think they know who has control over the mana brick. They, of course, can guess it is a team that is not Team Gataga, so I think they should definitely play for this. FLC, they're in a great spot to try to defend this. Let's take a look at their operators, right? Allure Molotovs, Allure Ultimates, the disarms from Tempest, and then those blinding smokes from their Tempest as well. So many opportunities for FLC to defend this one.
And with that time ticking down, just know, guys, that the minimum decode time, if this gets swapped back and forth, is 1 minute and 30 seconds. FLC just need a flawless hold here. There's so many people in the vicinity. And Alliance, if I'm them, dude, I'm chilling. We know we had so many squad points going into this. The only issue I have is the solo of Gataga, because if something changes here, our squad points are not that high.
Easy is still trying to go ahead and kind of wait out this Tempest Ult, but on the back foot of that, Saloa is going to go ahead and find the Molotov kill there. NBO, we're trying to go ahead and find the steal there, but FLC have successfully defended multiple times now, and they are still completely healthy.
They are having a dang near flawless hold, and it has not been easy as Alliance sends out yet another Tempest to try and make a play for it. Nox galore, Grind picking up Nox onto Siloa, getting the full. And what is NBO doing? NBO hit the C's, but here's the deal. This decode exceeds the match point timer. The thing that we have been saying, all this does is pretty much guarantee Alliance and Gataga are our two teams moving on.
Yep, that is all she wrote there. NBO jumping on that mana brick pretty much makes it so nobody can secure it, and there's got to be a giant smile on the faces of Team Alliance and Team Gotaga. They're going to be on a little bit of a victory lap with their 2 Tempests remaining. That's going to be Lynx, and that's going to be easy. Team Gotaga, they may have been fully wiped out of Brackish as it currently stands, but it does not matter at all, as there are just 40 seconds remaining. Again, nothing can change on the leaderboard. Nothing at all. These kills, doesn't matter if you find the biggest run we have ever seen, nothing will change on the leaderboard. So whatever happens over the next 30 seconds on Brackish, Team Alliance and Team Gotaga are going to finals.
They have the chance to compete for a first place of $60,000 to join WLG and DE, who are already locked in that finals lobby, which means tomorrow we will find our final 2 teams. Elsewhere, you might as well run it, people. You got 7 seconds left to go. Just take people down. Why not?
And there it is. Game number 7 comes to an end. Day 1 of the Survivor stage here for the Delta Force Rise Series Season 1 has ended. It went the absolute distance, but there it is. You can see the smiles from Grind, right? Kind of saluting all the rest of the competition. And they got to be feeling good. I mean, they played so well throughout the entirety of the day. I mean, it was just perfection. And as soon as they went ahead and picked up that first mana brick, with the amount of win conditions that were kind of in their favor, they played it to perfection.
And it was not easy. It was a grind throughout the entire 7-game series. And other squads that didn't even get Mandel bricks had pop-off moments. I'm talking about Genius, who started out just bragging. We're talking Hannah, who had really great moments. NBO, who had points at time where they were decoding. Even FLC, who thought that they were going to potentially walk away with it. Same with NBA. And number 1, sure, the best team in that last game grabbed 6 KP and stop anyone else from getting a brick, which Alliance and Gataga should send you guys some nice thank you notes for sending them on to the finals. At least our teams who did not grab a Mandel brick will have one more chance tomorrow to get into the finals.
The great effort there from the likes of NBA as well. Remember, they were the ones that picked up that initial mana brick, and sure, the timer, the clock had been run down by them, kind of just holding on to it, but they eventually made their way over to the marker, or at least only a single member, as unfortunately for them, they were kind of cut down on the rotation. So they did try to make it happen. They knew exactly what they needed to do, but they could not go ahead and just stop the absolute domination of Team Gotaga and Team Alliance. Remember, Team Alliance, they were playing for something completely different that game. They were just playing for denial, and they were the ones that actually cut down that rotation of NBA. They were the one that stopped them from getting over to the market area. Super well played Brackish from Team Alliance.
As we kind of go through the rest of our player rankings from Game 7, you've got Nox there as our top asset earner. Easy enter, rounding it out. But Brackish, what an epic last game, as Grind was our round 7 MVP of the game with 4 KP. You said it, they were playing denial and did exactly that.
Yep, incredible performance there from these guys. I mean, listen, if you got 0 kill points throughout the entire competition, that mana brick alone was just enough for these guys to go ahead and secure it. So just an incredible team effort from these guys. They played it so super well, and that's why we're going to be seeing Team Alliance kind of join us on the finals on Sunday. Of course, we do know that Team Gotaga as well is going to be joining us. I'm not going to lie, Tiff, I was rooting for Team Gotaga. I mean, I was here for the first 2 weeks of the group stage, and the things that I saw Nox do as a player, during those 2 weeks was absolutely crazy, which is why when I kind of rejoined the cast here today, and I was like, wait a minute, Team Gotaga, you telling me they're not in the finals already? Great to kind of see them qualify.
That has been the craziest thing, because just before we started this show today, I was like looking at the teams in Survival Match Day 1. I was like, okay, so Alliance probably checking into this one. There's a good chance NBA is going to join them as well. But you kind of brought up Gotaga. You're like, no. Think back to the first couple of weeks. They got that initial match day win and just kind of tapered off. But to see them get into that top 2 spots, of course, we'll confirm that in just a moment. But y'all already know this feel. Instead, guys, I also have something for you guys at home. There is a final giveaway that's about to drop. It's your chance to win 3,000 Delta tickets, okay? Especially if you guys just want to follow or you're watching the stream on TikTok, Facebook, all those, just type !giveaway in the chat to be able to enter. If you're over on X watching, make sure you comment on that live stream tweet. Why can I not talk right now, guys? These giveaways, sometimes they are initially very hard. Of course, we will be announcing the winners in chat. And of course, if you are entering over on the X side of things, we'll let you guys know on that tweet as well. So make sure you guys are entering these giveaways. You only have so many more chances to lock yourselves into a giveaway. And while you're at it, make sure you follow us across the platforms of social media at @DeltaForceGame_game. So get into it, of course.
Yep. Incredible stuff there.
My
Giveaways,
spiel.
yeah, there you go. Tips spiel for the day there. Giveaways throughout the competition and entertainment as well. But there it is. The final denotions have kind of come in. Team Alliance and Team Gotaga. We kind of knew it up here on the desk that Alliance and Team Gotaga will be the 2 teams qualifying through to the finals. So what does that mean for these last 4 teams, right? Team Genius, Team FLC, Team NBA, and Team Number 1. The competition, the Rise Series Season 1 does not end there for them. They will rejoin the competition tomorrow, where Team Agartha and Team Living for Success have kind of been waiting. Team Agartha and Team Living for Success, they were the teams that placed 9th and 10th place on the group stage leaderboard, so they actually qualified for just specifically the Survivor Stage Day number 2, which is why they did not play here today. So those are going to be the 2 teams kind of replacing Team Alliance and Team Gotaga. But in terms of Sunday, we now have the team of Team Dark Entities, Team WLG Gaming Esports, Team Alliance, and Team Gotaga in the finals. We need just 2 more. As a quick reminder, Survivor Stage Day number 2 will work the exact same way as it did today. Only top 2 matters.
It's kind of scary. That's scary. Bro, Genius, FLC, NBA, and Number 1 are probably like, oh my gosh, today was such a journey. This was a very difficult day, and if tomorrow Survivor Match Day 2 plays out anything like this, Living for Success and Agartha are going to be like, look, we already saw how it all went down. We watched yesterday. We got to change some things. And even the teams that played here today, they're going to look to switch some things up, but it is not going to be easy. But for Alliance and Team Gotaga, they have done enough.
Yeah, great performances out of these guys. I mean, you can kind of just see it on the squad points alone, right? Like 34 squad points as well. So just an incredible performance all around the board.
Yeah, it was really incredible, and I can't wait to talk to some of our teams, and one in particular, it's going to be Alliance. We do have Grind joining us here on the broadcast, so let's get him in here. Congratulations, homie. You survived Survival Match Day 1.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are honored, like, to win this. It wasn't easy. Like, we went to the match 7, and yeah, we were really happy that we made it.
Yeah, I'm so happy for y'all. It was probably one of the most difficult match days that we have seen, and to have it be one of the highest stakes that we have, it's kind of crazy, but you guys were consistently putting yourselves in good positions throughout the day. What do you think was one of the keys to success for your team here?
I would say, like, it was a lot of planning in between the rounds, and in the end, like, the team play made, like, the most part. The team play played the most part in our win, honestly. Yeah.
And Grind, listen, you guys as a team were only 2 points coming out of the group stage behind picking up that 2nd place spot. So I feel like you guys were probably just a little bit nervous coming into these last chances to kind of qualify for the finals. How did it kind of feel to see that you were just 2 points behind qualifying directly to the finals? And did it kind of add any nerves to kind of playing today?
It was, I mean, it was very close on the air for sure. But we were kind of disappointed at the very end. But we were still like looking forward, like because we knew we were gonna make it anyways. Because we thought we know that we're the better team, and yeah, WLG like got second place, and they really deserve it. They're our teammate, like they're some friends of ours, and yeah, we were kind of for today we were kind of nervous, but of course we knew 100% like for ourselves that we're gonna win it. Yeah, that's all the confidence. Like we just went in with the full confidence.
Honestly, being fully confident is like 99% of it, in my opinion. And now that you guys have your final spot secured, you don't have to play in Survivor Match Day 2. You can kind of sit back and watch to see the final two teams that join the lobby. But how valuable do you think being able to see how tomorrow's lobby plays out is when you think about your performance on Sunday?
To be honest, like we don't have any rivals. Like for me personally, we can beat them all, and so I don't really care who's gonna win tomorrow, because we're gonna take the win on Sunday. I hope. Like we are definitely gonna take the win on the Sunday. Yeah, thanks to all my teammates, or like and the fans, like amazing support we see in the chat, like pushing us. Yeah, all have to be safe.
Great stuff. Yeah, shout out to the fans. I have to ask you though, Grind. For me personally, I feel like the 7-game series was so weird. I mean, how many times do we see a Mana Break not get captured? I feel like we have just entered in this final weekend of season number 1 here. How do you kind of expect the finals to play out on Sunday? Do you feel like we're going to see a lackluster in terms of the Mana Break captured? Or do you think we'll kind of return to something we're a little bit more familiar with?
I think you're going to see a lot of tense situations. I don't think that there will be like no Mana Break rounds like it was this game, and I think because of the teams, like they are very good at like playing the breaks, and they're really focused for that, because we already know from practice and everything that these kind of stuff which happens in these kind of games like don't really like happen a lot. So yeah.
Nice. Well, it sounds like Sunday is going to be super interesting, where you're competing for a first place of potential prize at $60,000. Well, Grind, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say to your fans, to any of your potential rivals? You said there are none, or even just thanking your team.
Oh yeah. Just thanking my team, like Easy Lungs, our like alliance. In like the support is just crazy. Like we just see like in the broadcast, like people spamming alliance for alliance. It's beautiful, and of course our sponsors like Razer, like supporting us with like some nice headsets. Like they're really helpful, and yeah, I just can recommend them. Little product placement, I guess.
Hey, I love it. Making the sponsors, making the organization proud, and of course, I'm a huge fan of everyone at Alliance. So I'm excited for you guys. Now go celebrate. Congrats on sealing your ticket into the finals on Sunday.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Well, that was lovely. It's always good to hear, and I love that you asked them specifically about how you thought the finals lobby was going to play out too.
I mean, listen, today was just so weird. I had to get into the players' minds, right? Like, what do you think is going to be happening on Sunday? See if we'll kind of see something similar there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of our top players throughout the day, though. As you can see there, we saw Kobe up there, KD leader, Lynx with the most amount of kills today. He actually picked up 10, so an incredible performance. No surprise to see Grind up there as well. Man, I wish we would have saw this kind of before we talked to Grind, so I could be like, yo, Grind, like, you did the most damage, dude.
Yeah.
But he's going to be happy about seeing that, and then Chins with the most amount of assets kind of picked up.
I mean, Lynx grabbing the match MVP of the day as well. Like, look, it was a wild day for sure. A grind throughout all 7 games. So congratulations to all of our players inside that top 2. But of course, we do still have one more team that will be locking it in. Is going to be Gotaga joining them, and Nox reigning supreme on the top of this kill leaderboard.
And I'm taking a look at this, right? If you take a look at the top 6, killers here, there's only one player still missing from the finals, and that is Skydie. Really need NBA to kind of clutch up tomorrow. Hopefully they can kind of figure some things out there. But we're, of course, taking a look at some of the player rankings here, and this will be great to actually take a look at after the finals as well, to kind of see who played so well over the course of 5 weeks. I mean, how difficult is it to play consistently and play good over the course of a 5-week long competition? It really is a grind for all of these players here. So good to kind of see most of them stay towards the top of the leaderboard and stay on top of their game.
Exactly. I mean, it is difficult. You are 100% right to play to perfection at all times. You're going to have the different lobbies, the way they play out. So it's going to be similar to like that roller coaster. But I will say, in terms of like our assets as such, Siloa there, Skydee, Maxa, and it's just going to show just even some of those random extractions that you can get throughout a series will be super impactful. But we do want to chat to our second team that procured their ticket to the finals on Sunday. We have the opportunity to get Nox on our broadcast. Homie, congratulations on getting your ticket into the finals on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, to be honest.
Honestly, we were happy. We were nervous. Yeah, we want to ask you about that because honestly, Vivid and I think that was one of the most difficult game series we've seen throughout the Delta Force Rise series. So what was it like for y'all?
Yeah, to be honest, that was by far the most difficult game because, like, for the first time, to be honest, everyone was playing the break and it was so difficult. Like, moving on the map, everyone is retaking it, denying it. It was so hard, especially on